Chapter 3583. There were 4 people in charge of grading. 3 of them were centurions, and one of them was the new commander of the Purple Mansion Army. Basically, that was the general content. Of course, there were also some pictures. It should be the Purple Mansion Army's daily life and training scenes that could be shown to the public. It looked pretty cool. It could really attract many young martial artists to participate. Ling Xiao calculated the time. It was the middle of the month, but according to the start time, the recruitment had already been going on for a few days. There were only 3 days left. He wasn't in a hurry. It didn't matter even if it was the last day. After all, it was just a registration. Everyone had to take the test at the same time. This time, they would be recruiting around 100 people. According to the number of applicants in the previous years, there would be around 1 million people. This number was quite terrifying. However, a small country had dozens of main cities under its jurisdiction. There wouldn't be many applicants with 1 million people. Most of them would be eliminated in the first round. It didn't say anything about the puppet martial artist, but it should be around the same strength as a martial artist at the 5th level of the Divine Vein Realm. For the sake of safety, I should try my best to raise my cultivation to the 3rd level of the Divine Vein Realm. This way, I will have a higher chance of success. Moreover, there is no need to use most of my trump cards at the start. Ling Xiao always insisted on one point. He looked down on his opponents strategically and treated them seriously, tactically. Even a lion would use all its strength to catch a rabbit. According to the grading, even if he killed the puppet martial artist, he might not pass the test. He had to be faster, more accurate, and more ruthless. The stronger he was, the more chances he had. Big brother, what is going on outside? It is so lively. Just as Ling Xiao was about to put away the booklet and start eating, Barbarian Xiong pointed outside the window and asked. Ling Xiao turned his head and looked outside the window. There were actually some city guards on the street. They were riding on puppet demonic beasts and were clearing one of the roads. The people who were walking on the road were all driven to the barricades on both sides of the road or directly to other roads. Some big shot is probably coming. Ling Xiao thought for a moment and said. He realized that the Purple Spirit Capital City's control was really strong. Even if the passers-by complained, they didn't dare to resist. They obediently retreated to the sides of the road and turned their attention to the city gate. It was obvious that a major figure would appear on that path. At this time, the shop assistant from before also came to the window and looked outside. He looked extremely excited. Buddy, who is it? Why are you so excited? Ling Xiao asked with a smile while eating. Hee, it's no wonder you don't know. You're new here, so you don't know much about Purple Spirit Capital City. The shop assistant looked out of the window and said with a smile, the king of the Purple Spirit Kingdom is a peerless beauty. More importantly, she was only in her early 20s. However, his strength was terrifyingly strong. It was said that he had reached the divine core realm. Today, the person who was coming was a Taoist master who had traveled all the way here from the Zifu capital city. Moreover, he was the younger brother of the Purple Mansion Kingdom's king. Grandpa Taoist's group of 4 didn't have much strength. It was said that he wasn't even a divine vein realm martial artist. However, his 3 disciples were extremely powerful. 2 of them came from the beast race of the wilderness, and 1 came from the deep sea dragon domain, especially his eldest disciple. He was a mighty warrior from the divine ape clan, and his strength was unfathomable. He was also sealed with a seal, and most of his strength was sealed. However, his current strength was still at the divine core realm. The king of the Purple Spirit Kingdom was in her 20s, but she was still single. It was said that she had met this Taoist master once in the Zifu capital city. She even called him Big Brother. Clearly, she liked him very much. Because of this, the hearts of tens of millions of men in the Purple Spirit Capital City were broken. After all, the king of the Purple Spirit Kingdom, Zichinya, was the goddess in all men's hearts. After hearing what the shop assistant said, Ling Xiao finally understood what was going on. There was a traveling team that was sent by the king of the Purple Kingdom to the Purple Spirit Kingdom. The leader of this team had some connections with the king of the Purple Spirit Kingdom. The leader was a Taoist master, and it was rumored that he was an expert in secret techniques. Although he wasn't strong, all three of his disciples were strong, especially his eldest disciple. The king of the Purple Spirit Kingdom was extremely powerful as well. Buddy, it seems like you know your king, Ziqinya, very well. Ling Xiao joked. He was basically immune to beauty because he had seen too many beautiful women. In the world of warriors, beauty was not as useful as strength. I don't know much about her. Most of the information I got were just rumors. If you want to know the truth, I really can't give you an answer. Let me put it this way. The general of the Purple Kingdom's Purple Palace Army, Yu Qilong. Once you join the army, you'll be the general. According to the rumors, his cultivation is at the 3rd level of the Divine Core Realm. Our great and beautiful king's cultivation is even stronger than this General Yu Qilong. Let me tell you, once you join the Purple Palace Army, you better not offend this general. Within the Purple Palace Army, there were strict military positions. The general who commanded 100,000 Purple Palace Army soldiers was a major general, and his cultivation was between the 2nd and 3rd level of the Divine Core Realm. The general who commanded 1 million Purple Palace Army soldiers was a lieutenant general, and his cultivation was between the 3rd and 4th level of the Divine Core Realm. The general who commanded 1 million Purple Palace Army soldiers was a general, and his cultivation was at least at the 6th level of the Divine Core Realm. There were 5 generals in the Purple Palace Army, and the one who stood at the top was the Purple Palace Army's chief marshal. On the same level as the generals, there were also the chief staff officer, chief supervisor, and chief instructor. However, these 3 positions didn't directly lead the Purple Palace Army. They all had their own special missions. However, their overall strength was on par with the 5 generals. This General Yu Qilong is the son of one of the generals. He is young and promising. Although his strength isn't the best amongst all the lieutenant generals, he is still young. Furthermore, he has great talent, and everyone says that he is the most likely successor to that general. Hearing what the salesman said, Ling Xiao couldn't help but have mixed feelings. He felt like a real ant that had stepped into the territory of giants. No matter if it was the Lieutenant General Yu Qilong or the king, Ziqinya, they were both people he couldn't reach. They were people he couldn't afford to offend. If he didn't have enough strength, offending these people was the same as courting death. He really wanted to thank the salesman for telling him all this. If not, he would have never offended anyone. Salesman, this is for you. Thanks a lot. Ling Xiao took out a top-rank soul stone and gave it to the salesman. The salesman's eyes lit up. Originally, he didn't want to continue talking, but now he just sat back down. After all, the goddess of his dreams, Ziqinya, hadn't shown up yet. Since you're so kind, I'll tell you more about it. This year, the Purple Palace Army has undergone a huge adjustment, although the lowest-ranking soldiers haven't changed much. But from sergeant to sergeant, they have all been strengthened. Now, the requirement for sergeant is to reach the 7th level of the Divine Vein Realm. Centurions must reach the 8th level of the Divine Vein Realm. Kiliarchs must reach the 9th level of the Divine Vein Realm. Captains must reach the 1st level of the Divine Core Realm. Chapter 3584. In the Purple Mansion Army, captains are also called brigadier generals. They are only second to major generals. Of course, they didn't have such high requirements in the past, but now the martial artists are getting stronger and stronger. The Purple Mansion Army has no choice but to change the system. In the future, they will probably have to raise the requirements even more. Although Ling Xiao had already expected what the shop assistant said, but when he heard it, he still felt helpless. He thought that he was already very close to the upper class of the Purple Mansion Kingdom, but now he was still an ant. Even captains had to be at the 7th level of the Divine Vein Realm. Then, those who couldn't reach the 5th level of the Divine Vein Realm in the Purple Mansion Army would probably be forced to change jobs. Thinking of this, he sighed with emotion. In the West region, a martial artist at the 1st level of the Divine Vein Realm could become a supreme expert and a legendary existence. But here, they were only stronger than the old, weak women and children. Sir, I think you are quite ambitious. In 8 to 10 years, you can become a captain or even a centurion. Then, you can become a superior person. When you get married and have children, your family members will be military families. Not only will you be honored, but you will also be protected and treated well. The children could even enter the young army, and the young army of the Zifu army for training. You will have a higher chance of becoming a member of the Purple Mansion Army in the future. But don't forget me when you get rich in the future. Come to my restaurant for a meal, and just give me a little more money. The waiter said with a smile, "Haha, I will." There was no need to argue about this. After all, on the surface, his cultivation wasn't very good. Even with his real strength, he was just qualified to enter the Purple Mansion Army. Others said this not because they looked down on him, but because they were just stating facts. However, he was very clear in his heart that his talent and comprehension ability were definitely not something that others could compare to. He came to the 4 regions from the 8th level of the Reincarnation Divine Realm. It had only been a few months, and he was already a martial artist at the 2nd level of the Divine Vein Realm. Next, his breakthrough speed would be even faster. They are here. It's the carriage of that royal brother. Barbarian Xiong suddenly turned around and said, "Ling Xiao," and the waiter looked out of the window. He saw that there were Purple Mansion Army soldiers riding on puppet beasts to protect him. And in the middle, the 4 people were very obvious. The person in the lead was riding a white horse. He was quite handsome and wore a Taoist robe. He looked like an immortal. His cultivation was indeed not very high, but Ling Xiao's intuition told him that he should not underestimate this person. This Taoist is called Su Mingjin. That monkey head was his eldest disciple, Sun Sheng. The fat one was his second disciple, Zhu Neng. And the one who looked like a shark with a ferocious face was his 3rd disciple, Sha Hai. Other than Su Mingjin, the other 3 disciples were all extremely strong. I've already told you about my eldest disciple. The 2nd and 3rd disciples are both divine core warriors, and they are extremely frightening. But this time, there's going to be a show to watch. The shop assistant suddenly laughed. Lively? What excitement! Ling Xiao asked curiously. Our beautiful ruler likes this Taoist master Su Meng. However, the lieutenant general of the Zifu army, Yu Qilong, likes our beautiful ruler. It was a classic love triangle. With these 3 people together, don't you think it's going to be lively? The shop assistant laughed and said, Yu Qilong's hometown is in the Purple Spirit Capital. When he was young, he had a very good relationship with our beautiful ruler, and he even said that he wanted to get married when he grew up. It was just a joke when he was young. How can you take it seriously? I always think childhood sweethearts are no match for those who fall from the heavens. Ling Xiao laughed and said, Unless the Taoist master Su Meng gives up on his own accord, I don't think Yu Qilong can do anything about it. Haha, you're right guessed. With the current situation, I think Lieutenant General Yu Qilong is going to be very depressed. The shop assistant laughed. No one here would know what they were talking about anyway. They wouldn't dare talk about the ruler and the lieutenant general in front of them, but they could gossip behind their backs. Ling Xiao wasn't interested in any of this, no matter who was with whom. It had nothing to do with him. What he cared more about was how he could join the Zifu army and how he could enter the bloody battlefield as soon as possible. It wouldn't be too late to talk about this after he reached the level of those people. Ling Xiao activated his Tai Chi Eye. Suddenly, he noticed that a few dozen men were charging toward Su Mingjin's group. These men were not ordinary men. They could actually fly in the sky. Only divine core warriors were able to break free from the gravitational pull and fly in the sky in the 4 major planets. Dozens of divine core warriors had suddenly appeared. This was really shocking. These men were too strong, although their auras were weaker than the 3 men from the Wang Quan family who had tried to kill him. They were almost there. In other words, those 3 men from the Wang Quan family should be at the divine core realm. Finally, he had a rough idea of what they were. Back when he was in the western region, he didn't even know what cultivation level his enemies were at. But now he finally knew. In the blink of an eye, when the dozens of men arrived, the Zifu army's guards couldn't do anything about it. Because they were divine core warriors, and the Zifu army's guards were only divine vein warriors. Ling Xiao turned to Su Mingjin and asked. The man, who looked to be in his 30s, didn't even look at the sky. He had a smile on his face, and he was so calm, as if everything that happened had nothing to do with him. Zi Qianya, Yu Qilong, what are you 2 bastards doing? How dare you send men to assassinate my master? Sun Sheng let out a loud roar. He didn't care if Zi Qianya and Yu Qilong could hear him or not. Without hesitation, he leapt into the sky. He waved a club made of an unknown material and lightly swung it. The dozens of cultivators were all sent flying. Damn it, this is too strong. They are all divine core warriors. But it's like he's beating his own grandsons. Ling Xiao couldn't believe what he saw. The weapon in Sun Sheng's hand was the same as his transformative weapon, a Heavenly King weapon. However, Sun Sheng didn't use any martial skills. He just used an ordinary attack to knock the men away. With just a single strike, the dozens of men left as quickly as they came. After leaving behind a dozen dead bodies, they disappeared into the horizon. Are divine core warriors so worthless? How did he manage to kill so many of them in such a short time? Barbarian Xiong was startled as well. It's not that divine core warriors are worthless. It's that Sun Sheng is just too strong. To put it bluntly, in the entire Golden Heavenly region, besides the Golden Sovereign, I don't think there is anyone stronger than him. However, his cultivation base has been sealed. That's why he doesn't seem that scary. Just listen to how he didn't even take Lieutenant General Yu Qilong and Lord Zi Qianya seriously. The shop assistant's eyes lit up. Perhaps he really admired such a strong man. Who didn't love heroes? Who didn't love strong men? Chapter 3585. More people are here. I think they are from the King Palace. Ling Xiao noticed a group of people not far away. Most of these people were actually women. Perhaps it was because the king of the Violet Spirit Kingdom was a woman. There were at least 1,000 people in this group. Among them, there were a few hundred divine core warriors. Perhaps all the mighty warriors from the King Palace were here. This Zi Qianya really thought highly of Su Mingjin. Why are there so many divine core warriors? Barbarian Xiong asked the same question. You should know there are over 100 million people in the capital city, but there are only a few thousand divine core warriors. Most of them are divine vein warriors. There are also some reincarnation divine warriors. The salesman wasn't surprised at all. It was normal for there to be a few thousand divine core warriors in a city with over 100 million people. After listening to his explanation, Ling Xiao and Barbarian Xiong found it easier to accept. For Ling Xiao, becoming a divine core warrior was still too far away. Even among the divine vein realm martial artists, there were plenty of people who could easily kill him. Therefore, it looked like he had to keep a low profile while he was in the capital city. It would be best if he didn't provoke those mighty warriors. If he did, he would be in deep trouble. Comparing a divine core warrior to a divine vein warrior, there was a feeling of transcendence between them. Divine cores were formed in their bodies. It felt like there was a small universe running in their bodies. No matter if it was their true yuan or their bodies, they were much stronger than divine vein warriors. Divine core realm, that will be my next goal. Ling Xiao gritted his teeth. The warrior from the royal family killed by Black Devil didn't count. After all, that wasn't Ling Xiao's strength. But once he became a divine core warrior, he would be closer to Yu Fanghua. Before he entered the cycle of reincarnation, he had sworn that he would protect every reincarnation of the Moon Lady. Now he finally saw a glimmer of hope. Although it was still uncertain, it wasn't impossible. As long as he could touch it, he would be able to get it sooner or later. He had the martial soul of Tyrant, the inheritance of the 12 divine beasts, and the heart of gold. His cultivation speed was several times faster than others. Therefore, he was still very confident. Her Majesty looks like she will never age. I remember that she looked like this 10 years ago. That's right. I've only become more charming. Nothing else has changed. Don't bother about his looks. The strength of the monarch is the most terrifying. I feel that he is even stronger than the last time I saw him. Although he was in the Purple Spirit capital city, the monarch spent most of his time in the monarch residence. Not many people could actually see her. Thus, Zi Qinya's appearance immediately caused a lot of discussion. Ling Xiao turned his head to look. There were people by the window and at the door. Even behind them, there were people constantly squeezing over, wanting to catch a glimpse of their beauty. However, what made Ling Xiao feel funny was that the huge canopy had a veil hanging down, completely covering the monarch inside. Ordinary people shouldn't be able to see it. Ling Xiao used his Tai Chi eye to look through the canopy. However, he discovered that Zi Qinya was still wearing a white veil. He still couldn't see his face. But, to be honest, this woman's temperament was definitely very elegant. Sitting there, she was like a white lotus flower in a flourishing age. Dressed in white, she was like a fairy. This was the kind of woman that people were talking about. He wanted to get close to her, but he was afraid of sullying her. This kind of woman was naturally to be admired from afar and not to be touched, apart from her looks. In terms of figure, this woman seemed to have reached the level of the Moon Lady. It was just her temperament that felt inferior. When a woman was beautiful to a certain extent, she actually had her own merits. It was difficult to determine who was better. However, Ling Xiao was still confident. If the Moon Lady stood together with Zi Qinya, they would definitely attract more attention. Even this woman's light would be stolen by the Moon Lady. But now, this woman was like a bright pearl, shining with endless light. She blocked everyone else in the darkness. No wonder all the men in the Purple Spirit capital city said that this woman was their dream goddess. This woman indeed had the aptitude. Many men couldn't help but feel ashamed of their inferiority when they saw her. But since he had the Moon Lady in his heart, Zi Qinya was just a piece of art that Ling Xiao could admire. Besides, what he was more concerned about was Zi Qinya's strength. He shouldn't be as strong as Sun Sheng, but at the same time he was unfathomable. What could he do? He was just too weak. As long as it was a divine core warrior, he would be able to easily kill Jiangqin. King! King! The entire crowd cheered. Although there were some who were jealous of this woman, most of them felt proud to have such a king. Proud. Happy. Finally, Zi Qinya flew out from the imperial canopy. She landed on the ground. A long red carpet was laid out on the ground, extending all the way to the white horse. Although Zi Qinya was wearing a veil, her eyes were filled with excitement. Obviously, this woman really liked Su Mingjin. Not only her, even Ling Xiao had developed a strong interest in this Su Mingjin. Su Mingjin was a real man, but he was too beautiful. He was even more beautiful than a woman. Her indifferent temperament was even more mesmerizing than that of the monarch. In this day and age, men look like this. It really makes people speechless. It's probably because of that peerless face. That must be one of the reasons why Zi Qinya likes him. Ling Xiao shook his head and smiled bitterly. Right when Zi Qinya and Su Mingjin were walking on the red carpet and were about to hug each other, suddenly, a deafening noise came from the city gate. All of them were purple puppet war horses. All of them were wearing purple armor. This was simply shocking. Those should all be purple spirit armors. Ling Xiao thought to himself. Rumble. A large number of Purple Mansion Army soldiers stopped at the entrance of the Purple Spirit Capital. Only a few hundred Divine Corps warriors followed Lieutenant General Yu Qilong into the Purple Spirit Capital. Yu Qilong didn't look at anyone next to him. His eyes were fixed on Su Mingjin. It looked like the rumors weren't fake. This Yu Qilong had definitely treated Su Mingjin as his rival in love. The Purple Mansion Army was different from ordinary warriors. Obviously, they had been trained by killing and killing. Even though they had restrained their aura, their killing intent still leaked out uncontrollably. It made many passers-by tremble. So strong. Those must be the captains and kiliarchs of the Purple Mansion Army. That's right. All the captains are Divine Corps warriors. Some of the kiliarchs are Divine Corps warriors as well, and there are a few hundred of them. Why did the Lieutenant General call all of them here? I wonder if he's trying to put pressure on them, or if he's trying to make it look grand. It looked like most people knew about the story between Yu Qilong and Ziqinya. Ling Xiao smiled. He wasn't interested in this kind of gossip. Instead, he looked at Yu Qilong. Chapter 3586. Yu Qilong was really young, probably not even 20 years old. How could he become a lieutenant general of the Z Mansion Army at such a young age? Not only was he young, but he was also handsome and powerful. He was simply the dream lover of countless women. There were many people pursuing Yu Qilong, but he was set on Ziqinya. One had to admit that he was really stubborn. Yu Qilong ignored Su Mingjin and went straight to Ziqinya. His arrogance was probably due to his talent and strength. Most people were not worth mentioning in front of him. Currently, no one could compare to him, including Ling Xiao. Qinya, why didn't you inform me that you were going to welcome Daoist Su? No matter what, Daoist Su is the king's younger brother. Yu Qilong stood between Ziqinya and Su Mingjin to prevent them from touching each other. Su Mingjin just smiled faintly and elegantly as if nothing could affect his mood. Immeasurable heavenly sovereign, greetings to General Yu. He cupped his hands and bowed. Ziqinya was a little angry, but he knew that Yu Qilong had no ill intentions, so he could not blame him. He could only sigh helplessly in his heart. But this time, Su Mingjin was going to stay in Ziling City for a long time. She would have a lot of opportunities to meet Su Mingjin. Yu Qilong could not stop them all the time, could he? Sister, don't you understand Brother Qilong's intentions? Why can't you be nice to him? At this moment, a 15 or 16-year-old boy walked out from the crowd and rolled his eyes at Ziqinya. Haha, isn't this Xiaolong? You seem to have broken through. You are indeed your sister's younger brother. Not bad. Yu Qilong was in a good mood when he heard Zilong speaking up for him. Zilong was Ziqinya's younger brother, and he was Ziqinya's most beloved brother. His name was similar to Yu Qilong's, and he had a good relationship with Yu Qilong. Moreover, when it came to his sister's marriage, he firmly supported Yu Qilong to be with his sister. After all, no matter how good Su Mingjin was, he was still a wandering Taoist. No one knew when he would go somewhere else. Zilong and Ziqinya looked very much alike. If Zilong hadn't dressed like a man, people would have mistaken him for a girl. When Ling Xiao saw this purple dragon, he could not help but clench his fists. A young man who was about 15 or 16 years old, even younger than him, but he was already a first Divine Corps warrior. This kind of strength really made people have a whole new level of respect. Big Brother Qilong, you are truly overpraising me. Compared to you, I am nothing. Zilong smiled. Oh, right, Zilong isn't a member of the Z Mansion Army yet, right? Yu Qilong suddenly asked. That's right. Speaking of this, Big Brother Qilong, you have to open a back door for me. I want to join the Violet Mansion Army. Zilong smiled. Back door? Ha ha ha, I say, Xiaolong, stop joking around. With your strength, Isn't it easy for you to enter the Zifu army? But the Purple Mansion army is very dangerous. I'm afraid your sister won't be willing to part with it. Yu Qilong looked at Zi Qianya. There's nothing to be reluctant about. As long as Xiaolong is willing, I believe him. Zi Qianya nodded his head and said, Big brother Qilong, did you hear that? My sister has agreed. You can now arrange for me to join, right? With my strength, participating in the exam is just bullying others. You can just let me join. I don't think anyone will object to this. Zilong said. All right, I'll go through the procedures for you when I get back. Yu Qilong wanted to please Zi Qianya, and also because Zilong was really strong, reaching the first divine core realm at the age of 16. His talent was even more frightening than Zilong's. This is great. Zilong was really excited. Are you guys done chatting? Suddenly, 1,000 caddies stick dropped down from the sky and smashed onto the road. Zi Qianya, Zilong, and Yu Qilong were so scared that they immediately took a few steps back. Sun Sheng was pissed off. What's with those assassins just now? Sun Sheng asked with a stern voice. I think they are just some people who are unhappy with your actions. Yu Qilong said with a cold voice. Little Sun, be nice. With a smile on her face, Su Mingjin walked over and said, Did we cause trouble for the king by coming to Purple Spirit Capital? No. I'll immediately send someone to investigate those assassins. I won't let them disturb Brother Yu again. Zi Qianya hastily said. All right, let's welcome Taoist Su to the King Mansion. The group started moving again, and Yu Qilong followed behind them. It looked like this guy had decided to be the third wheel today. Stop looking, they're gone. Let's continue eating. In the restaurant, everything returned to normal. However, there were still many people who were reminiscing about the scene from just now. I've heard that the king's younger brother, Zilong, is very strong. I thought he was only at the 9th level of the Divine Vein Realm, but he has already broken through to the Divine Core Realm. He's only 16 years old. This is so frustrating. How can we compare ourselves to him? We have different resources. Ling Xiao didn't think it was a big deal. From his observation, Zilong's cultivation was indeed strong, but his combat experience was terrible. He was similar to Shangguan Yu, but his cultivation was much stronger than Shangguan Yu's. When it came to cultivating talents, a big family was really good at it. Even idiots could be cultivated. Besides, if you had a little bit of talent, you could be cultivated into a genius. This was something no ordinary man could compare with. According to the information we have, the king of the Violet Spirit Kingdom is at least at the 4th level of the Divine Core Realm. What about the strongest man in the Violet Kingdom? I think he's at the 7th or 8th level of the Divine Core Realm. What about the Eastern Victory Kingdom? The Golden Heavenly Kingdom? Are the strongest warriors in the Golden Heavenly Kingdom really below the Divine Core Realm? As for the Eternal Palace, it's even stronger than the Golden Heavenly Kingdom. It's one of the strongest forces in the 4 major regions. How strong are they? Too bad. He still couldn't get the answers to these questions. But he was sure that the opponents he was going to face were frightening beyond his imagination. Right now, he had no choice but to take things one step at a time and break through to the Divine Core Realm. Only when he broke through to the Divine Core Realm would he be qualified to see the wider world. All right, please enjoy your meal. Since the show is over, I should get back to work. The waiter let out a sigh and said, Everyone is different. If young Master Z Long joins the Violet Palace Army, I think he'll be able to become a Captain General. At the very least, he'll be a Captain General. Does the Violet Palace Army only look at strength and not military merits? Ling Xiao asked curiously. Of course, but with young Master Zilong's strength, it'll be easy for him to get some military merits. The waiter waved his hand and said, Forget it, let's not talk about this anymore. It has nothing to do with us anyway. After saying that, he turned around and left. After Ling Xiao and Barbarian Xiong finished their meal, They went to the streets to look for a shop. Surprisingly, they found out about something wonderful. The Violet Palace Army wanted to improve everyone's meals, therefore, they wanted to bring in some restaurants in Chaoyang City. Chapter 3587. Hearing that the Z Mansion Army wanted to open a restaurant, Ling Xiao went to look for it directly, under the control of the soul-absorbing pill and soul-absorbing eye. The spirit chef was completely at his mercy. This spirit chef's strength was not very good, but his cooking was absolutely first class. He actually passed. This restaurant was in the outer city of Chaoyang City, and the garrison was usually in the inner city. They did not affect each other. Of course, the restaurant had to go through strict inspection every day. After all, it was a Z Mansion Army cook. If something happened, it would be a big matter, and no one dared to neglect it. Buying the land, he spent 1,000 upper-grade spirit stones. Buying all kinds of things, he only spent another 1,000 upper-grade spirit stones. Ling Xiao left another 10,000 upper-grade spirit stones for Barbarian Bear as starting capital. The restaurant was ready and only waited for business. Ling Xiao did not care about the details. He had already returned to his room in the restaurant and started to cultivate. This was Chaoyang City, the city where the Z Mansion Army was stationed. It was even safer than the Purple Spirit capital. Unless someone ate a bear's heart and leopard's guts and dared to cause trouble here. Therefore, it was absolutely safe to cultivate here. After cultivating the 9-turn god-demon technique for a while, Ling Xiao stood up again. The cultivation of the martial technique was very smooth. But if his cultivation did not break through, he would not be able to improve further. So he planned to go out and look for opportunities. The outer city of Chaoyang City was not as strict as the inner city. As long as he came back before dark, there would be no problem. Ling Xiao went directly to the Purple Spirit capital. There were many people there, and he should be able to find a suitable opportunity to improve. He had heard that the Purple Spirit capital city had many underground fighting arenas for martial artists to use to battle. After winning, one could get a large amount of spirit stones as a reward. He did not know if he was lucky or not. When he arrived at the Purple Spirit capital, he did not have time to find the underground fighting arena. Instead, he saw a fire break out. There were many skyscrapers in the Purple Spirit capital. Ling Xiao did not know how such buildings were built, but he noticed that upstairs the fire was raging and there were many people trapped there. Originally, this kind of thing had nothing to do with him, and with his strength he could not help much. However, there was one thing that he was particularly concerned about. It was the monarch's younger brother, Zilong, who actually helped to save people when he passed by. Ling Xiao had seen such a young master before, but there weren't many of them. They were usually arrogant and domineering people. This purple dragon was really not bad. He found it interesting and stood there looking with the Taiji eye. In the beginning, things went very smoothly. Z long cooperated with the other city defense army martial artists to extinguish the fire. Many people were saved. However, just as Zilong was about to leave, he was trapped in the building, because there was another person in there, a masked man wearing a black scarf. The masked man's cultivation was at the 2nd Heavenly Divine Core Realm, and he had rich combat experience. He didn't know what method it used, but it actually blocked that space. Only his Taiji eye could see through it. The battle began in an instant. Zilong was indeed a genius. Although his cultivation was inferior to the other parties, he was still able to hold on. Unfortunately, his opponent was even stronger. Not only was his cultivation higher than Zilong's, but his battle experience was also extremely rich. Both men fought fiercely. Ling Xiao had to use the Taiji eye and the Heart of Gold in order to see every single attack clearly. A battle like this was very pleasing to the eyes. At the same time, it was also a great help to him. After all, Zilong's combat experience was inferior to the other parties, and he had consumed too much of his energy in order to save people. The more difficult the battle was, the more he was at a disadvantage. Suddenly, Zilong used some unknown method to penetrate through his opponent's defense and dash towards the outside. However, the other party was even faster. He slammed his palm onto Zilong's back, causing blood to spurt out from his mouth. Zilong's body went through the window, and he fell down from a height of over 100 meters. Damn, what a coincidence! Ling Xiao was speechless. He was just here to watch, and Zilong had been slammed to his side by a single palm strike. Ling Xiao was only a second heavenly divine vein warrior. Facing a battle between two divine core warriors, there was nothing he could do. Even if he wanted to help Zilong, there was nothing he could do. The speed of the man chasing after Zilong was incredibly fast. A frightening aura was unleashed. Initially it was aimed at Zilong, but it had also enveloped Ling Xiao. At this moment, Ling Xiao's potential was crazily unleashed. His cultivation, which had been stuck at a bottleneck for a long time, suddenly broke through. He had broken through to the third, heavenly divine vein realm. This was really a case of traveling far and wide looking for something, only to find it by chance. Somebody help. Zilong shouted out loudly. After all, this was the capital city of Purple Spirit. Therefore, very soon, some men were rushing towards them. The assassin furrowed his brows. Then he increased his attack speed. If those men arrived before him, he would have no chance to save Zilong. No one noticed the weak Ling Xiao standing next to them. No one would have thought that this weakling would become the turning point of this battle. Ling Xiao was having a mental struggle. In the end, he decided to help Zilong, not because of anything else, but because, as a young master, Zilong had personally gone to save those refugees. Just because of this, he couldn't let him die. Of course, Ling Xiao had the ability to do so as well. Earth-crossing golden light. Suddenly, Ling Xiao unleashed the earth-crossing golden light. Zilong, who thought he was going to die, suddenly felt the scenery in front of him change rapidly. After that, the assassin's attack landed on the ground. Damn it! It was too late for the assassin to chase after Zilong, because a large number of City Defense Army warriors had arrived, and some of them were divine core warriors. He had no choice but to leave. Even if he couldn't complete his mission, he couldn't expose his identity. Damn weakling, how could he be so fast? Even before he left, the assassin was still in a bad mood. His mission was about to be completed, but it was ruined by an ant on the side of the road who he didn't take seriously. This was a complete disgrace. But he didn't pay any attention to that man just now. That's why he didn't see what he looked like. It's all right. Young Master Zilong Ling Xiao stopped. He was still feeling scared. He was taking a gamble. If that assassin really wanted to chase after him, he would be in big trouble. Of course, he was lucky because he made the right bet. The assassin didn't want to expose his identity, perhaps because he was Zilong's friend. Thank you for saving me. Zilong let out a sigh of relief. Although he was severely injured, it was worth it to be able to keep his life. He looked at Ling Xiao with a strange expression. Ling Xiao's aura was very weak. He should only be at the third level of the divine vein realm. But the speed at which he fled was extremely fast. But there seemed to be a mysterious aura coming from this man. Zilong wondered if it was just his imagination. No need to thank me. I'll take my leave now. When Ling Xiao saw someone approaching, he immediately turned around and left. Chapter 3588. It wasn't that Ling Xiao was noble and didn't want to repay the favor. It was just that he didn't have the courage to ask for such a favor. What a joke! With his current strength, even if he really got close to Zilong, he would only be treated as a hired thug or a man of sacrifice. He wasn't interested in being someone else's slave. Besides, he had too many secrets on him. A powerful man always had a way to find out the secrets of others. If he was exposed, he would be in a lot of trouble. Sigh. I still don't know what his name is. Zilong looked at Ling Xiao's disappearing back and sighed helplessly. But I think he was hiding his true strength. If not, How could he save me from that second-level divine core warrior? He couldn't believe that Ling Xiao was only at the third-level divine vein realm. Naturally, he thought that Ling Xiao was hiding his true strength. "Young master, are you all right?" Reinforcements had finally arrived. Zilong's mind was once again focused on the assassin. "Damn it, I've been cultivating in the King Mansion, and I just came out recently. Why is someone targeting me? Is he targeting me? Or is he targeting my sister?" This question wouldn't be answered in a short period of time. After successfully breaking through, Ling Xiao didn't need to go to the underground arena anymore. Instead, he chose to return to Chaiyang City. After that, he went to the Purple Mansion Army's registration area and registered. After that, he waited for the unified examination that would take place in 2 days. As for the assassin who killed Zilong, it had nothing to do with him, and he didn't care. He still had a lot of things to do, and he didn't want to be dragged into this mess. 2 days passed by quickly. Not only had Ling Xiao consolidated his cultivation base at the third-level divine vein realm, he had also cultivated the second style of the 9 revolutions, divine devil skill, to major completion. Of course, its strength had increased tremendously. Similarly, during these 2 days, their restaurant's business had been booming. Many of the customers who came here to eat were the real soldiers of the Purple Mansion Army. These were delicacies cooked by spirit chefs, and their effects were naturally different. On the day of the examination, the venue was in the outer city. Therefore, the restaurant's business was booming. However, there were spirit chefs and helpers. Barbarian Xiong, on the other hand, had nothing to do. He followed the crowd and arrived at the venue. It was the Purple Mansion Army's arena in the outer city. This place had always been used by the Z Mansion Army to recruit new soldiers. The spacious battlefield was very suitable for martial artists to display their abilities. Although there were no spectator stands around, there were many spectators because the outer city gate had opened. Among the spectators, there were members of the Z Mansion Army, but there were also a large number of people who came to watch the show. Among them, there was no lack of people who wanted to apply for the Zifu army. In any case, the crowd was densely packed, and there were probably more than 100,000 people. Fortunately, there was a huge magic array screen at the scene. It could be seen from afar. Otherwise, they would probably only be able to look at other people's heads. In the Purple Mansion Army's arena, a large number of warriors had gathered. All of them had signed up. More than 90% of these people were at the 5th level of the Divine Vein Realm. That was because this was the minimum requirement for warriors in the Zifu army. There were also a small number of martial artists at the 4th level of the Divine Vein Realm who were confident that their combat strength could meet the requirements. Ling Xiao was the only martial artist below the 3rd level of the Divine Vein Realm. "Ayo, little friend, are you lost? You even dared to sign up for the 3rd level of the Divine Vein Realm?" The Zifu army didn't have any restrictions on the registration. As long as one was willing to sign up, it was fine. However, if one's cultivation didn't meet the minimum requirement and still signed up, there would be no one to protect. In the battle with the puppet martial artists, no one will save you. In other words, your death would be in vain. It was different for martial artists at the 5th level of the Divine Vein Realm and above. Even if they couldn't defeat the puppet warriors, they would be saved. This was to prevent people from trying their luck even though they didn't have the strength, which would be a waste of everyone's time. It would also be a waste of the Zifu army's energy. Ling Xiao was only around 17 years old, and his cultivation was only at the 3rd level of the Divine Vein Realm. Naturally, he became the target of ridicule. Why do you care about him? He is just here to die. Not only is he wasting everyone's time, but he is also wasting the Zifu army's energy. Serves him right if he dies. Ling Xiao pretended that he didn't hear the discussions of these people. After all, one's strength couldn't be seen directly. It could only be shown through battle. His cultivation might only be at the 3rd level of the Divine Vein Realm, but his combat strength was already at the 6th level of the Divine Vein Realm. He had already surpassed everyone here. A bunch of idiots actually mocked him. It was really laughable. "Brat, come over here and sit on the human bench for me. If you were weak, you would be bullied by everyone. It wasn't that others wouldn't touch you just because you didn't want to provoke them." Ling Xiao was enjoying himself when a rough voice suddenly sounded. He turned his head to take a look. It was a bald-headed man. He wasn't old, probably around 30 years old, and his cultivation was at the 4th level of the Divine Vein realm. This kind of cultivation wasn't considered high. However, the strange thing was that there were a few 5th level Divine Vein realm martial artists gathered around him. There was no need to ask. This fellow must have a backer. He probably had a relative in the Zifu army. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so arrogant. Ling Xiao glanced at this person and closed his eyes to rest again. He couldn't be bothered with him. "Damn it! How dare you ignore my words? A 3rd level Divine Vein realm martial artist is courting death." The bald-headed man stood up abruptly and roared furiously. "Brother Bing, don't be angry. That brat doesn't know how powerful you are. That's why he said that." Someone at the side persuaded. When the bald-headed man heard that, he felt that it was right. He laughed mischievously and said, "My name is Tang Bing. My uncle is in the Zifu army. How dare you not give Brother Bing face? You still want to enter the Zifu army? Come over here obediently. Otherwise, I will use force." This fellow only knew how to bully the weak. He didn't even dare to ask those 5th level Divine Vein realm martial artists to be his human bench. He was probably afraid. This time, Ling Xiao didn't even open his eyes and completely ignored him. "Damn! Kill him for me." Tang Bing was really angry. Originally, he wanted to show off his power in front of his group of disreputable friends. In the end, he met someone who didn't listen to him. This really infuriated him. If he didn't teach this brat a lesson, where would he put his face? "Brother Bing, it's better not to make a move here. After all, this is the Zifu army's arena. If we offend the Zifu army, we won't be able to bear the consequences." Someone at the side advised, "All right, I won't kill him, but I can at least beat him up. I heard that the Zifu army likes to exchange pointers between soldiers. I will personally exchange pointers with him." Tang Bing stood up and sneered as he walked towards Ling Xiao. In his opinion, a trash at the 3rd level of the Divine Vein realm dared to act cool in front of him. He was simply courting death. Even if he wasn't allowed to kill here, he could still cripple this brat and reduce some trouble for the Zifu army. "Brat, don't blame me. You asked for it." Tang Bing laughed mischievously and said, "I will give you one last chance. Lie down and be my human bench. Otherwise, I will cripple you today." Chapter 3589. Ling Xiao's eyes suddenly opened, and a horrifying killing intent burst out from his eyes. "You are the one courting death." At that moment, Tang Bing felt as though he saw a sword stabbing towards him. He was so frightened that he took a step back. However, he recovered after a short moment. He immediately flew into a rage out of humiliation. He was so ferocious just now, but now he was frightened by Ling Xiao and retreated. This was simply a great humiliation. He couldn't let this matter go so easily. "Good. Very good. You are courting death. Since you don't want to submit, I will give you a quick death." With a furious roar, Tang Bing pounced towards Ling Xiao. He didn't use any weapon. After all, wasn't Ling Xiao just a martial artist at the 3rd level of the Divine Vein realm? What was he afraid of? He could send Jiang Yi flying with a single slap. "Tang Bing, stop it." At this moment, a voice was heard. A Purple Mansion army soldier wearing the purple spirit armor walked over and looked at Tang Bing. "Don't you know that you can't use force without permission in Chaiyang City? How dare you make such a scene?" "Cousin, I was wondering who it was. You gave me a fright." Tang Bing let out a breath of relief. This cousin was really his uncle's son, and he was also a sergeant in the Purple Mansion army. His cultivation was at the 6th level of the Divine Vein realm. What are you making a scene for? Bullying others again? The sergeant looked at Ling Xiao and asked Tang Bing. Cousin, you can't blame me. Didn't our Purple Mansion Army say that we are recruiting martial artists at the 5th level of the Divine Vein Realm and above? This kid is only at the 3rd level of the Divine Vein Realm, and he is here to make up the numbers. He is simply wasting everyone's time. I am just teaching him a lesson and chasing him away. Tang Bing shrugged his shoulders. You don't have to care about this. There will be a test later. If he can't pass, no one will pity him even if he dies. Why do you have to be so calculative? The squad leader sighed. Immediately after, he looked at Ling Xiao and said, Young man, your life is at stake. Don't joke with your life. You better go back quickly. It is impossible for you to pass. Ling Xiao kept staring at Tang Bing and the corporal. He sighed in his heart. It seemed that nepotism was something that could be encountered everywhere. Even the Zifu army was no exception. Since she had kissed Tang Bing, she naturally wouldn't have a good ending. But now that the matter had come crashing down on him, there was no way he could hide, because he was not that kind of person. After all, his goal was to enter the bloody battlefield, not to get a promotion or a raise. It didn't matter even if he was always an ordinary soldier. Thinking of this, Ling Xiao glanced at the squad leader and said, I have confidence. Did you see that, cousin? This brat is simply boasting shamelessly. Did he think those puppet warriors were easy to deal with? It's like a dog biting Lu Rinxian. You don't know how to appreciate kindness, Tang Bing said while shaking his body exaggeratedly. If he doesn't want to leave, then forget it. Why are you so anxious? All right, just sit here obediently. This is for you. The squad leader saw that Ling Xiao did not listen to his advice and was too lazy to say anything more. He directly took out a piece of paper and gave it to Tang Bing. He lowered his voice and said, When you fight the puppets later, there will be a drawing of lots. You just have to put on an act. The puppet on this lot has been tampered with. You should be able to pass smoothly. Many thanks, cousin. Tang Bing was very excited. They thought that their conversation was soft enough and that no one here could hear it. But Ling Xiao's Tai Chi eyes saw through their mouths. You are really shameless. No wonder you dare to take the Zifu army test when you are only at the 4th level of the Divine Vein Realm. I thought you were really capable. After all this time, you are actually planning to cheat. Ling Xiao sneered in his heart. This Tang Bing had been looking for trouble with him. How could he let this guy have his way? All right, I am leaving. You wait here by yourself. After the squad leader finished speaking, he turned and was about to leave. Cousin, that brat is really a good-for-nothing. Can't you give me a chance to show off? After all this time, Tang Bing still didn't want to let Ling Xiao off easily. Anyway, that brat is about to die. I should be able to teach him a lesson to vent my anger, right? I really don't know what to do with you. Squad leader Tang sighed and said loudly, Due to the large number of people taking the test this time, the 3rd level of the Divine Vein Realm is really too weak. A martial artist at the 3rd level of the Divine Vein Realm was truly a waste of time. Let me test your strength. If you can take a punch from me, I will let you continue to stay here. This is for your own good. Cousin, wouldn't that brat be dead if you punched him? Let me do it for you, Tang Bing said. The two of them were putting on a show and had already discussed it beforehand. Squad leader Tang seemed to be in a difficult position. He sighed and said, Forget it. You are right. Then you do it. Try to be gentle and don't injure him. Got it, squad leader Tang. I will. Tang Bing was now using a real chicken feather as a sword. After speaking, he threw a punch at Ling Xiao. The aura of a 4th level Divine Vein Realm burst out completely. He didn't have the intention to be gentle. He was going all out and wanted to kill Ling Xiao right here. Under normal circumstances, a 4th level Divine Vein Realm martial artist would attack a 3rd level Divine Vein Realm martial artist like this. The only thing a third-level divine vein realm martial artist could do was to escape. Otherwise, this punch would have been able to kill a martial artist at the third level of the divine vein realm. However, the strange thing was that Ling Xiao didn't run away. He seemed to be scared silly and didn't even move. It was as if he was completely intimidated by Tang Bing's aura. Damn, he really made a move. He, who asked him to have a backer in the Purple Mansion army. Sigh. I pity that third-level divine vein realm brat. He is going to be killed just because he doesn't want to be someone's meat stool. There is no choice. Who asked him to come to the Purple Mansion army with such a low cultivation? If we don't bully him, who else can we bully? Wait, there seems to be a situation. Everyone thought that Ling Xiao was definitely going to die this time. Who knew that at this moment, Tang Bing actually stopped his attack. Get lost. Ling Xiao's right eye had already activated the four-leaf demonic pupil and released the horrifying, soul-absorbing ability. The powerful soul power condensed into a spiritual hammer and smashed into Tang Bing's soul realm. It had been a long time since he used his soul power to directly injure someone. This time, Ling Xiao planned to use it in order to not expose his strength. PFFF. Tang Bing actually knelt down on the spot and spat out blood. His eyes were a little dazed. Seeing this scene, everyone was dumbfounded. No one knew what Ling Xiao did. Then, Ling Xiao slowly walked towards Tang Bing. Get down, he said coldly. Tang Bing actually couldn't control himself and really got down on the ground. Ling Xiao sat on him and grinned. No wonder someone likes to sit on a meat stool. It is so comfortable. No one noticed that he had taken out the piece of paper that Tang Bing had hidden on his body and then directly crushed it. He didn't need this thing. With his current strength, any fifth-level divine vein realm puppet wouldn't be a match for him. Get lost. At this moment, Sergeant Tang was obviously enraged. He pounced over and attacked Ling Xiao. Chapter 3590. Ling Xiao glanced indifferently at Sergeant Tang, who was charging at him. A sergeant at the 6th level of the divine vein realm might not be a match for him as long as he wanted to. But now that he had achieved his goal, there was no need to have a conflict with the Purple Mansion army. He stood up, but he didn't leave. Instead, he kicked Tang Bing towards that sergeant. Sergeant Tang was in a hurry to check on Tang Bing's condition, so he didn't have time to care about Ling Xiao. Don't worry so much. He was just injured. He will be fine after resting for a while. Ling Xiao said indifferently, You dare to be a businessman in the Purple Mansion Army's arena? Get lost immediately. You are not qualified. Sergeant Tang roared. Hee, what this corporal said is hilarious. He was the one who attacked me first. Everyone here saw it. Also, I believe there should be monitoring puppets here. If the upper echelons of the Purple Mansion Army knew what happened here, guess who will be the unlucky one? Or you. Ling Xiao said calmly. At most, he would be chased away. At most, he could join the Purple Mansion Army somewhere else. But this Sergeant Tang would probably be kicked out of the Purple Mansion Army forever. Even if he had a backer, there were some things that the backer couldn't help him with. You win. Sergeant Tang was a smart man. Naturally, he knew that Ling Xiao was saying this because he didn't want to fall out with him. But remember, I am just a sergeant. I might not be able to interfere with you. But among the 4 examiners, one of them is my father. He is the centurion here. Let's see how you can join the Purple Mansion Army. With a cold snort, he left with Tang Bing. With Tang Bing's condition, he couldn't stay here alone. Otherwise, he didn't know what would happen. Brother, I think you should quit. There is no need. You offended that Sergeant Tang. You won't have a chance anymore. With your talent, you can easily defeat a martial artist at the 4th level of the Divine Vein Realm when you are only at the 3rd level of the Divine Vein Realm. Won't you have a better chance next year? Someone in the crowd reminded. Yes. There are problems this year, and there will be problems next year. If you met Sergeant Tang this year, you might meet other sergeants next year. Therefore, the problem should be solved this year. Even the examiners wouldn't dare to act so brazenly. Ling Xiao said indifferently. That's true. After all, there are still Kiliarchs keeping watch. Even Lieutenant General Qilong might be present. That person said, but I still have to thank you for your reminder. Ling Xiao cupped his hands in greeting. Then he went to the side and closed his eyes to rest. After what had just happened, no one dared to look down on him anymore. To be able to defeat a cultivator in the 4th level of the Divine Vein Realm without even making a move, Zhang Xian's strength was indeed terrifying. Even a martial artist at the 5th level of the Divine Vein Realm would not have absolute confidence in defeating him. The preparation work was still in progress because there were too many people who had signed up. Therefore, the preparation work became complicated. Fortunately, it was still early, so everyone waited patiently. Some people were bored, so they sat there and chatted about the assessment. According to them, the Zifu army's recruitment was only held once a year. Ling Xiao was really lucky to have encountered this year's recruitment season. Otherwise, he would have to wait until next year. The Queen and Goddess are here as well. Right at this moment, someone suddenly cried out in surprise. Everyone turned their heads towards the grandstand. Indeed, Ziqinya, Su Mingjin, and a few others were sitting in the VIP area. Among them was the injured Zilong. But it looked like his injuries had been fully healed. Of course the Queen and Goddess are here. I heard young Master Zilong is going to participate in the puppet battle as well. Of course, he won't take up our spot. After all, he is a divine core warrior. He just wants to prove that he didn't get in through the back door. You're quite well informed. But it's quite interesting to be able to watch young Master Zilong fight. Someone laughed. I'm more interested in watching the Queen and Goddess fight. TSK, just thinking about it is so beautiful. Don't be a toad that wants to eat swan meat. Aren't you afraid of choking? Hee, a man without dreams is no different from a salted fish. Hearing the crowd's discussion, Ling Xiao raised his head and looked at the VIP area. Ziqinya was chatting with Su Mingjin. Sun Sheng, Zhuneng, and Sha Hai were sitting nearby. Since Ziqinya is here, I'm sure Yu Qilong will be here as well. While Jiang Chen was thinking, he saw Yu Qilong arrive with a few other men. Ling Xiao was laughing in his mind. With so many people here, the 4 examiners wouldn't dare to give their marks carelessly. With this, the possibility of him joining the Purple Mansion Army would be greatly increased. Soon, the 4 examiners arrived as well. One of them was a Chiliarch. He should be the commander of the recruit camp. As for the other 3, they were all Centurions, and they were the elites amongst all Centurions. Each of them was at the 8th level of the Divine Vein Realm. As for the Chiliarch, he was at the peak of the 9th level of the Divine Vein Realm, and he wasn't far from the Divine Core Realm. A lineup like this was enough to shock all the new recruits. After all, the minimum requirement for new recruits was to be at the 5th level of the Divine Vein Realm. There was no need to send a divine core warrior here. The 4 examiners first bowed toward Yu Qilong and the other men on the spectator stand. After that, they turned around and looked at all the applicants. There were just too many people. If the arena wasn't big enough, it might not be able to accommodate all of them. Ling Xiao carefully observed the 4 examiners. 2 men and 2 women, they were a perfect match. It was a woman in a red dress. It was a woman dressed in white. There was also a male warrior dressed in black. The last one should be Sergeant Tang's father, Tang Bing's uncle, Tang Chuan. This man looked 70% similar to Tang Bing. That's why Ling Xiao was able to recognize him with just a glance. The total number of applicants for this year is 1,080,000. Because there are too many people at the beginning, we'll have a mixed battle to eliminate most of you. The remaining 1,000 people will have a one-on-one test. Let's not waste any more time. Everyone, leave the arena and go to the spectator stand. All rookies, you may enter now. The female examiner in red was the first to speak. Her words were in line with Ling Xiao's estimation. After all, there were so many people. If they had a one-on-one test, God knows how long it would take. On the other hand, a chaotic battle was a method that was easier to eliminate and test people. After that, the female examiner in white added, "After the countdown ends, we'll release 500,000 fifth-level divine vein puppets. There are puppets, and warriors. Some are strong and some are weak. What you need to do is survive and become one of the last 1,000 people." The male examiner in black continued, "You can choose any method, including hiding, running away, or using yourself as a human shield. In short, in this huge arena, all you need to do is try your best to survive. This is similar to the bloody battlefield. But don't worry, you won't really be killed once you enter a state of near death. Once you're in a state of near death, you'll be teleported out by the arena's formation. Therefore, this is a show of gentleness. Let's let you experience the atmosphere of the bloody battlefield." Chapter 3591. In the end, Tangchu Nunnery announced the start of the test. All the martial artists who signed up became nervous. Ling Xiao looked at the entrance of the arena. The ground seemed to be shaking. A terrifying aura surged over like a monstrous wave. This is really a big deal. 500,000 puppets, and all of them are at the 5th level of the divine vein realm. If they were in the western regions, they could easily take over the entire western regions. Feeling the aura, many people started to choose a safer place. However, there was no place to hide in the arena except for the entrance. The rest of the area was an open space. There was no place to hide. "Everyone, don't panic." Suddenly, a young man yelled, "Form a battle formation and guard the entrance. This way, the puppets won't be able to rush in easily, and we will be able to hold on." Ling Xiao looked at the young man. He was actually at the 7th level of the divine vein realm, which was slightly stronger than the sergeant. Looking at this person's expression, it was obvious that he had been through actual combat. Facing the terrifying aura, many people were already panicking. However, he was still very calm. Most people didn't listen to him. However, there were still people who followed him to the entrance and formed a defensive line to defend against the puppet's attack. "Isn't that Lu Xiong? He is from the City Defense Army, and he is actually here to take the Zifu Army test." Someone recognized the young man. "Why do you care? It's fine as long as he meets the requirements. However, can you really stop them? There are 500,000 puppets." Ling Xiao didn't go over, and he wasn't interested in stopping them. After all, the purpose of this chaotic battle was to eliminate people. If he stopped the puppets, he wouldn't be able to achieve his goal. He leaned on the edge of the arena and looked at everything indifferently, as if everything had nothing to do with him. At this moment, the puppets finally appeared. The entrance wasn't big, but it was still over 100 meters wide. A dozen puppet beasts occupied the entire entrance. One of the giant lion and bull puppets crashed into the human wall, crazily. As a result, several martial artists were sent flying. "This won't do, Lu Xiong. The impact of these puppet beasts is too terrifying." Someone shouted, "Retreat! Let's form a small group and fight together." Lu Xiong ordered decisively. Thus, the battle formation that had just been formed collapsed in an instant. Lu Xiong led a few hundred people to form a group. They formed a battle formation to deal with the puppet beasts. The others also wanted to join in, but it was too late. A large number of puppets rushed in through the entrance. Many martial artists did not even have time to react before they were sent out of the arena and fell to the ground with serious injuries. Hundreds of people were eliminated in an instant. How terrifying! Ling Xiao smiled and entered the shadow dancer state. He was not in the mood to waste time here. In his opinion, these puppets were too weak. It wouldn't be of much help to his cultivation. He might as well take a break and wait for the next round of the assessment to show his skills in a one-on-one battle. Didn't that kid break the rules? In the stands, an expert noticed Ling Xiao's actions and couldn't help but comment. Of course not, as long as he doesn't leave the arena. Someone explained. After chatting for a while, they stopped because the battles in the arena were too exciting. Of course, it could also be said that it was too cruel. In less than 10 minutes, more than 100 puppets were eliminated. Tens of thousands of rookie martial artists had been eliminated, and the speed of elimination was still continuing. Lu Xiong's small group was really good because everyone was at the 5th level of the Divine Vein Realm. When they worked together, they were much stronger than those martial artists who fought individually. Therefore, many people began to form a group to fight, because only in this way could they survive. Boom! Suddenly, a thunderbolt struck the crowd. Thousands of martial artists were eliminated. It's the Thunder Puppet! There were exclamations from the stands. The Thunder Puppet was at the 5th level of the Divine Vein Realm. However, it had an offensive power that was not inferior to an Emperor martial technique. Therefore, it could eliminate thousands of people with a single strike. The team that had just formed a group was directly destroyed. What a terrifying puppet beast! It's not that the puppet beast is terrifying, but that bunch of rookies are too weak. With the same strength, as long as they calm down, they will definitely have the upper hand. Now they are being slaughtered. Everyone had their own opinions, but this did not hinder the battle in the arena from continuing. Finally, after a full 2 hours had passed, about 100,000 puppet beasts were lost. As for the martial artists, more than 900,000 had been eliminated. It was nearing the end. There were close to 100,000 people left, and they were still desperately holding on. However, their disadvantage was getting more and more obvious, because at the beginning, it was 50 against 100. Now it was 40 against 10. The martial artist's advantage in numbers had turned into a huge disadvantage. And at this moment, Ling Xiao felt a strange, murderous aura in the air. It was as if an invisible, demonic beast had mixed in. Then he saw martial artists being eliminated continuously. However, no one could discover the existence of the demonic beast. Even Lu Xiong's team was scattered by this monster. It's the invisible puppet. A martial artist who was familiar with the puppet explained the reason. And there's more than one. Ling Xiao could not help but sigh in his heart. There were really all kinds of puppets. There were all kinds of puppets. No wonder Tang Bing wanted to cheat. If he encountered the Thunder Puppet and the Invisible Puppet, Tang Bing would probably lose miserably. Another 10 minutes passed. There were only about 2,000 people left. We can't let that kid have it easy. He didn't participate in the battle from the beginning. At the examiner's seat, Tang Chuan said coldly, "He didn't violate the rules." The black-clothed examiner frowned. What's the use of such a passive person coming to the Purple Mansion army? Tang Chuan sneered and flicked out a spiritual talisman. When the spiritual talisman reached the arena, it directly broke all the invisibility states. This included Ling Xiao's shadow dancer state and the invisible puppet's invisibility state. Ling Xiao glanced at Tang Chu Nunnery and thought to himself, revenge has indeed come. However, it didn't matter. It was just a puppet at the 5th level of the Divine Vein Realm. He didn't take it seriously. Array, lesser myriad lightning, immortal slaying array. Array, Vajra array. Ling Xiao sat there and released 2 array refining stones. As his cultivation base increased, the level of the array formation's creation also increased day by day. With him controlling the array formation, he could make the array formation even more powerful. Countless puppets rushed over and crashed into the array before being bounced back. Haha, I didn't expect this kid to be an array master. No wonder he dared to sign up with such a weak cultivation. The black-clothed examiner laughed and said, Examiner Tang, I'm afraid you are at your wit's end. Because Tang Chuan's actions didn't cause much impact. Therefore, the Chili Arch didn't say much. Chapter 3592. The chaotic battle quickly came to an end. When there were only 1,000 people left, the puppets suddenly stopped their actions and uniformly walked towards the exit. This was the advantage of puppets. Compared to demonic beasts, puppets were clearly more obedient. They were easier to control. Ling Xiao removed the formation and sneered in his heart, "Come, I want to see what other tricks you can play. Unless that Yu Qilong is blind, the Purple Mansion Army will definitely want to maintain their face. You definitely won't dare to cheat so brazenly." Next was the rest time and the clearing time. More than 1,000,000 contestants had been cleared in a single battle until only 1,000 remained. This was really cruel. Roughly an hour later, the examination continued. Just now, during the rest time, I believe that everyone has drawn their corresponding number. Next, according to your number, you will enter the arena and fight with puppet warriors or puppet beasts. The target of the duel is random. Before you enter, you have to draw lots. Whichever one you draw will be your opponent. The red-clothed female examiner announced. Ling Xiao looked at his number. 231. This number was neither too close to the front nor too close to the back. He didn't have to wait too long. He could look at the performance of the people in front of him for reference. The white-clothed female examiner added, "This time we will only recruit 100 Purple Mansion Army soldiers. Therefore, you must try your best to display your strength and perform well. Strive to be fast, accurate, and ruthless. The faster you finish the battle, the higher your score. This is the most important thing. In addition, the fewer injuries you suffer, the higher your score. In short, the more perfect the victory, the higher your score. The 4 of us examiners will grade you separately, and in the end, the total score will determine who will remain in the end." Hearing this, Ling Xiao secretly nodded. Even if Tang Chuyuan gave him 0 points, as long as the 3 people in front of him gave him full points, he should still be able to pass. Therefore, there was no need to be too nervous. "Are there any other questions?" The black-clothed male examiner asked coldly. "There are no questions now, but after the start, no more questions are allowed." No one said anything. Everyone's understanding of the rules was very accurate. "All right, old Tang, you can announce the start." The black-clothed male examiner looked at Tang Chuyuan and said. Tang Chuyuan nodded and then waved his hand. "Number 1, draw a puppet." The first one to step forward was Lu Xiong, who had been involved in the chaotic battle earlier. Since his cultivation had already reached the 7th level of the Divine Vein Realm, he should be able to pass the test with ease. After a random selection, Lu Xiong drew a wolf-shaped puppet beast. "Enter." Lu Xiong walked into the arena. At this moment, he was the only one in the huge arena, so it was very spacious. At the entrance, a wolf-shaped puppet beast was let in. It was about 2 meters tall and 4 meters long. They looked very ferocious and valiant. The 4 examiners were all staring at the arena. They were in charge of grading, so naturally they wouldn't miss a single scene. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to choose a suitable Violet Palace soldier. "Begin!" Tang Chuan roared. The moment his voice fell, the wolf-shaped puppet beast pounced towards Lu Xiong. Puppet beasts weren't demonic beasts, so they didn't feel any fear. Therefore, no matter how strong the enemy was, they would fearlessly charge forward. Lu Xiong sneered and raised his hand. A long spear appeared in his hand. He rushed out as well. The spear moved like a dragon. A terrifying storm exploded in the arena. "Kacha!" The long spear accurately pierced the throat of the wolf-shaped puppet beast. Then it suddenly spun at high speed. It directly pierced through the puppet beast. The frenzied spear force exploded, and the wolf-shaped puppet beast was torn into pieces. With just one move, an ordinary move, the wolf-shaped puppet beast was instantly killed. Lu Xiong didn't retreat an inch. After all, his cultivation was much stronger than the puppet beast. Therefore, he won very easily. Putting away the long spear, Lu Xiong stood there and cupped his hands in the direction of the 4 examiners. "Examiners, please grade." The examiners seemed to have their own thoughts. They picked up the scoreboard and wrote down their grade. Before the examiners showed the grade, the rest of the examiners were sure that Lu Xiong would definitely get a high grade. After all, he killed the wolf-shaped puppet beast so easily and came out unscathed. His performance was very good. However, Ling Xiao had a different opinion. This Lu Xiong's biggest disadvantage was that he was older and his cultivation was too high. Killing the wolf-shaped puppet beast with this cultivation couldn't display his potential. Therefore, in Ling Xiao's opinion, Lu Xiong might pass, but his score wouldn't be too high. The result was just as he expected. The 4 grades, from the red-clothed female examiner to Tang Chunwan, only gave a passing grade. The full score was 100, and the 4 examiners gave 60. The total score was 240. Actually, this was very dangerous. If the others performed well, then it was very likely that he would not be able to pass. Seeing this score, many people's eyes widened. Lu Xiong was also puzzled. "I'm not convinced." Lu Xiong said loudly, "Not convinced." The red-clothed female examiner sneered. "You only dare to challenge when your cultivation is at the 7th level of the divine vein realm. This shows that you lack confidence. If you don't have confidence in your own strength, just based on this point, it's impossible for me to give you a high grade. Passing is already giving you a lot of face." The white-clothed female examiner also said, "Although a lion uses its full strength to hunt a rabbit, you actually had to use a weapon to defeat a wolf-shaped puppet beast at the 5th level of the divine vein realm. It shows that you don't have confidence in your own skills. I can only give you a passing grade." The black-clothed male examiner said, "There's another point. You didn't use 1 move, but 2. In the first move, you tried to pierce the throat of the wolf-shaped puppet beast, but you didn't succeed. In the second move, you used a spiral stab to defeat it. A martial artist at the 7th level of the divine vein realm used 2 moves to kill a wolf-shaped puppet beast. I don't think you can get a high grade." In the end, Tang Chunwan concluded, "If you're not convinced, we have a puppet beast at the 7th level of the divine vein realm here. Do you dare to challenge? If you do, we can reevaluate your score." Lu Xiong sighed and shook his head. No, he might not be willing to admit it, but the 4 examiners had analyzed him thoroughly. Lu Xiong left the arena and returned to his resting spot. He was a little dispirited. TSK, these 4 examiners are really incredible. Their eyes are really sharp. Isn't that obvious? Otherwise, how can they be examiners? TSK, I'm afraid that Lu Xiong is in danger. With a passing grade, the possibility of him passing isn't high. These 4 examiners were an eye-opener for Ling Xiao. Their judgment was surprisingly accurate. At the very least, they shouldn't make any mistakes unless they purposely gave a wrong grade. However, that Lu Xiong was really a coward. Actually, with his strength, he should be able to win even if he challenged a puppet beast at the 7th level of the divine vein realm. It was a pity that he lacked confidence. Chapter 3593. In Ling Xiao's opinion, if he was Lu Xiong, he wouldn't accept the failure so quickly. Martial artists needed tenacity. They weren't afraid of not having talent, but being unwilling to work hard after having no talent. Moreover, they were timid. After Lu Xiong went down, martial artist number 2 also went up the stage. What he drew was still a puppet beast. However, this puppet beast wasn't easy to deal with because it was the thunder puppet that appeared in the previous chaotic battle. This guy's attack power was extremely terrifying. Its strongest attack could reach the level of Emperor-level martial technique. Ordinary 5th-level divine vein realm martial artists couldn't block it at all. Fortunately, puppet beasts weren't very smart and weren't as difficult to deal with as demonic beasts. As long as the strategy was right, it shouldn't be a problem to win. After martial artist number 2 appeared in the arena, the thunder puppet beast also rushed in from the entrance. However, before the examiners shouted to start, the battle wouldn't start immediately. This was the advantage of puppet beasts. If it was a demonic beast, it might not be so easy to command. The thunder puppet was covered with thunder and lightning arrays. Once the dense thunder and lightning incantation was activated by spiritual stones, it would release terrifying thunder and lightning. The material of the whole body should be made of special metal. Its hardness was equivalent to the defensive power of a king-level high-class defense martial technique. If he couldn't even break this defensive power, he wouldn't be able to defeat this guy. "Let's start," Tang Chuyuan said. As he gave the order, the Thunder Puppet Beast was already fighting with Martial Artist number 2. However, different from the first battle, the Thunder Puppet Beast was obviously suppressing Martial Artist number 2 in the second battle. It's a pity that he didn't make full use of his advantage and messed up the rhythm. He will definitely lose. Ling Xiao shook his head and felt it wasn't worth it for this guy. Actually, Martial Artist number 2 wasn't weak. His advantage was his strength and close combat. However, because he was afraid of the thunder and lightning of the Thunder Puppet Beast, he actually chose to escape. In this way, he threw away all his advantages. It would be strange if he didn't lose. If it were you, would you win? That Thunder Puppet Beast is one of the stronger ones among all the puppets. A martial artist at the side was a little unhappy with Ling Xiao's evaluation. Ling Xiao couldn't be bothered with him. If it were him, this Thunder Puppet Beast wouldn't even survive the second move and would be killed by him. How could it take up so much time? Martial Artist number 2's speed was not his advantage, so he was quickly caught up. The rushing Thunder Beast seemed to be toying with him as it bombarded him with thunderbolts. Warrior number 2 finally chose to admit defeat. They didn't even fight to the end. The puppet beast suddenly stopped attacking, and warrior number 2 was also carried out. The second battle ended just like that. Under normal circumstances, no one would die in the assessment, unless there was a cultivator whose cultivation did not meet the standard, but who believed that their strength met the standard. No one would care until they were dead or alive. For example, Ling Xiao, a martial artist at the 3rd level of the Divine Vein Realm, wanted to challenge a puppet beast at the 5th level of the Divine Vein Realm. To the Purple Mansion Army, it was a waste of time and resources. They could agree, but in order to teach such people a lesson, they would not go and rescue them. Another possibility was that the puppet had lost control and was unable to stop. The cultivator could also be killed. In any case, the assessment itself had a death quota. Even if someone really died, no one would pursue the matter. Scared? Then don't come. Since warrior number 2 failed, there would naturally be no score. He was directly eliminated. Warrior number 3 continued and won by luck. However, the process was rather terrible, and he was severely injured in the end. Hence, his score was lower than Lu Xiong's. Originally, many people thought that it would be difficult for Lu Xiong to pass. However, after these 3 battles, they suddenly realized that this assessment wasn't as easy as they imagined. It was much harder to get a high score than they imagined. The assessment didn't stop, and time passed very quickly. Some martial artists used a short time, while others used a long time. However, there was a rule that if one used more than 15 minutes, it would be considered a failure. Therefore, on average, each person only used about 10 minutes or so. This way, 1 hour could only test 6 people. After 10 hours, there would only be 60 people. However, because the assessment was carried out continuously day and night, Ling Xiao calculated that he would have to take the assessment on the second night. Hence, he didn't want to waste time watching the battles and directly cultivated in the arena. However, he could multitask, so he knew the situation in the arena. After 1 day and 1 night, there were only around 10 people who had a higher score than Lu Xiong. Moreover, these people's scores were all below 300. The examiner's highest score was only 80. Until now, no examiner had given a score above 80. He didn't know whether the examiners were too harsh or the martial artists in front were too bad. Next, number 225, Tang Bing. Hearing this name, Ling Xiao couldn't help but open his eyes. Tang Bing was the nephew of Tang Chunwan. This guy wanted to bully Ling Xiao, but in the end he was bullied by Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao was quite curious about him. Could this trash really pass? For some reason, Ling Xiao felt that Tang Chuyuan and Tang Bing looked more alike. On the other hand, she didn't look that much like Tang Wu. Could there be some kind of relationship? Ling Xiao smiled. However, Tang Chunwan showed a rare smile. After all, that was his nephew? Or a child? Tang Bing seemed to still not know that his lot was destroyed by Ling Xiao. When he drew his opponent, he realized that something was wrong. When he found that his lot was gone, he could only bite the bullet and draw. Wolf-shaped puppet beast. This was the same puppet beast as Lu Xiong's opponent. Tang Bing was dumbfounded. Only he knew his own strength. If he were to fight seriously, he would have no chance of winning at all. He was reluctant to step into the arena. Instead, he suddenly hugged his stomach and said, "My stomach hurts. Can I go to the toilet first and let others go first?" Originally, no one would agree to such a request. However, because Tang Bing's uncle was Tang Chunwan, everyone gave him face. Therefore, this strange request was actually approved. Ling Xiao laughed coldly. He guessed that the next time Tang Bing went up, the puppet would be weaker. It was really nepotism. Amazing. After a while, after about 2 battles, Tang Bing finally came back. As expected, as Ling Xiao expected, Tang Bing drew a new puppet this time. It was actually a scarecrow. This scarecrow was also a puppet of the 5th level of the Divine Vein Realm. However, it was very afraid of fire, and Tang Bing happened to be good at fire element attacks. This guy is so lucky. He actually drew the trashiest scarecrow. Who asked him to have such a good uncle? Should stop talking. Be careful not to be heard. In fact, everyone was smart. Tang Bing had long been spreading that he had a powerful uncle who held a post in the Z Mansion army. How could others not think of it? Tang Bing finally stood in the arena. Ling Xiao shouted jokingly, "You won't wet your pants this time, right?" Everyone burst into laughter. Chapter 35-94. Tang Bing was very angry, but he already had a way to deal with Ling Xiao, so he didn't care. He focused on the battle with the scarecrow. It wasn't unreasonable to say that the scarecrow's combat strength was weak because it didn't have many special abilities. It was just that its body was lighter and its agility was very high. But its weakness of being afraid of fire was also fatal. After the battle began, Tang Bing used all his fire-type martial techniques to attack. His method was right. But because his strength was too weak, he couldn't hit the scarecrow after more than 10 moves. The examiners were embarrassed. In the end, for some reason, the scarecrow suddenly seemed to stop. In just a moment, it resumed its movement. But because it stopped for a moment, it was hit by Tang Bing's flames. Its whole body burned, and it lost in the end. In the end, Tang Bing barely won. So damn shameless. Others might not have seen it, but Ling Xiao saw it very clearly. There were 2 problems with this scarecrow. First, it only knew how to dodge and not attack, as if it was designed in advance. Second, it suddenly stopped. It was too subtle. He was almost sure who used a remote control to control it. Everything the other party had done was nothing more than to let Tang Bing pass. But his performance was too bad. It was impossible to give a high score, but if it was too low, he might not pass. After all, the examiners were all from the Z Mansion army. They had a good relationship with Tang Chu Nunnery, so it wasn't a problem to do him a favor, especially the female examiner in red. As the commander of the recruit camp, she was a Chiliarch. She was once promoted by Tang Chu Nunnery. She naturally had to remember this old relationship. After thinking for a while, everyone gave a score. It wasn't high, but everyone gave about 70 points. The total score was actually much higher than Lu Xiong. Among the warriors before, he was ranked at the top. Although he might not be too outstanding, it shouldn't be a problem for him to pass. This is too damn shameless, isn't it? The total score is actually 290 points. Although it's not high, his performance might not be as good as the people before him. Once the score was out, the scene fell into chaos. Many people were unconvinced. If you think it's unfair, why don't you come up and be the examiners? The female examiner in red said coldly, which made everyone shut their mouths. Many people felt that perhaps the examiners were right. After all, they had underestimated Lu Xiong's evaluation. The examiner's judgment was clearly superior. Ling Xiao sneered. The so-called shameless was probably referring to this. However, he was too lazy to speak. Getting in through the back door wasn't a rare thing. Furthermore, even though Tang Bing's cultivation was terrible, he was still slightly stronger than those Purple Mansion realm soldiers at the 3rd level of the Divine Vein Realm. Under his uncle's nurturing, it would be easy for him to reach the 5th level of the Divine Vein Realm. Therefore, even if Yu Qilong was present, he could only turn a blind eye and pretend not to see. As long as it wasn't too outrageous, he wouldn't say anything. After all, they were his subordinates. He still had to give them some face. After Tang Bing passed, he arrogantly looked at Ling Xiao, who was in the crowd, and sneered. He had already told his uncle, Tang Chuan, about Ling Xiao. Although he didn't know how Tang Chuyuan would deal with Ling Xiao, he believed that his uncle would definitely have a way to prevent Ling Xiao from passing. As for Tang Bing's provocation, Ling Xiao just laughed it off. Without a contest between people, he couldn't teach that guy a lesson. Now he could only take one step at a time. Soon, it was his turn to go on stage. Ling Xiao lifted his foot and walked towards the lottery box. However, he found that the lottery box had been tampered with. There was a talisman next to the lottery box. He could report it. Of course, he could also use his own method to remove the talisman. However, he didn't do it, because he really wanted to see how Tang Chuan would make things difficult for him. After all the puppets were at the 5th level of the Divine Vein Realm. So even if they were strong, how strong could they be? Thinking of this, he no longer hesitated and directly chose to draw. Ling Xiao, martial artist at the 2nd level of the Divine Vein Realm, from the city of Raging Fire. The examiner read out Ling Xiao's information. In an instant, it aroused the dissatisfaction of many people. Of course, this information was Ling Xiao's registration information. At the time of registration, his cultivation hadn't broken through yet. Therefore, he was lagging behind. In fact, his cultivation had already reached the 3rd level of the Divine Vein Realm. In order to prevent some people from saying that he was hiding his cultivation, he specially reminded them, "What's the difference between the 2nd and 3rd level of the Divine Vein Realm? This brat is here to cause trouble, right? Hee, I think he has someone helping him, just like Tang Bing. This is too shady. Will he also have a stomachache and draw a scarecrow?" Because of Tang Bing, many people were very dissatisfied. However, the 4 examiners were also very surprised. "Little brother, are you not clear about the recruitment brochure this time? It's not the 3rd level of the Divine Vein Realm anymore. It has to be the 5th level of the Divine Vein Realm." The black-clothed male examiner laughed. "Reporting to Lord Examiner, I am very clear. The recruitment brochure is very clear that as long as one has the strength of the 5th level of the Divine Vein Realm, it's not the 5th level of the Divine Vein Realm." Ling Xiao didn't have time to look at the lot he drew and answered first. "Ha ha ha ha. Children are indeed confident, but I have to remind you. However, I have to remind you that because your cultivation is not up to standard, no one will save you even if you die. No one will pity you. Everyone will say that you are overestimating yourself." The black-clothed male examiner continued. "Thank you for your concern, Lord Examiner. I know what I am doing." Ling Xiao said, "All right, then let us see what kind of puppet you have drawn." Since Ling Xiao was determined to challenge, the examiners wouldn't reject him. Ling Xiao handed over the lot. At this moment, Zilong was staring at him curiously from the spectator stand. After a long while, he suddenly nudged Zichinya and said, "Elder sister, it's him." "Who is he? Do you know him?" Zichinya asked curiously. "He is the one who saved me. This brat is very interesting. His speed is very fast." Zilong lowered his voice so that only his elder sister could hear. "Oh, then you can pay more attention to him. If he can't pass, I can go to General Yu and plead for him." Zichinya glanced at Ling Xiao indifferently. She couldn't be bothered to pay attention to a martial artist at the 3rd level of the Divine Vein Realm. If it wasn't because Ling Xiao saved her younger brother, she wouldn't even look at him. "Thank you, elder sister." At this moment, Zilong and Zichinya didn't think that Ling Xiao would succeed. In fact, among everyone present, only Barbarian Xiong, who was mixed in the crowd, felt that Ling Xiao could pass. The others didn't think so. At this moment, a cry of surprise came from the examiner's stand. "What's wrong?" The other 3 examiners looked at the black-clothed male examiner. "It's actually the blood demon soldier." Chapter 3595 Blood Demon Soldier. Hearing these 3 words, not only were the examiners shocked, but even those who were familiar with the puppets were also shocked. "You mean those puppets that are only at the 5th level of the Divine Vein Realm, but because of the Blood Demon Array, they are able to exhibit the combat strength of a 6th level Divine Vein Realm martial artist? Isn't that a test subject?" The red-clothed female examiner was shocked. "Why are the 3 of you so shocked? Since he has already chosen, let him try. Otherwise, we will ask him to scram." Tang Chuyuan sneered. His surprise was naturally an act, because he knew how to manipulate the blood demon soldier. The other 3 examiners weren't fools. When they heard Tang Chuyuan's words, they knew what was going on. The red-clothed female examiner frowned and looked at Ling Xiao. "You should leave. You are definitely not a match for this blood demon soldier. Even if you have the combat strength of a 5th level Divine Vein Realm martial artist, it is still impossible." "Examiner, it isn't easy for me to come to the Purple Spirit capital city. I don't wish to give up." Ling Xiao shook his head. "This kid is crazy. There is something wrong with his head. That is a 6th level Divine Vein Realm blood demon soldier. He is courting death." Everyone was in a heated discussion. It was obvious that they didn't think highly of Ling Xiao and treated Ling Xiao as a fool. Either that, or there was something wrong with his head. He actually dared to challenge the blood demon soldier. Wasn't he simply courting death? "Are you sure?" the red-clothed female examiner asked. "I am sure." Ling Xiao was still as indifferent as before. It was as though everything wasn't happening to him. "All right, since that is the case, you can go." Since they couldn't persuade him anymore, why bother? Even if he died, everything would be over. The examiners felt that they had already done their best. Ling Xiao nodded and walked into the arena. At the same time, a giant puppet walked out from the entrance. It was around 10 meters tall and had a huge amount of blood-red incantations on its huge body. The strange formation would cause anyone who approached it to feel their blood and qi churning. It was very uncomfortable. This fellow is indeed not easy to deal with. Ling Xiao looked at the blood demon soldier in front of him. If his cultivation was only at the 2nd level of the Divine Vein Realm, he wouldn't be able to deal with it. However, his current cultivation was no longer at the 2nd level of the Divine Vein Realm, but at the 3rd level of the Divine Vein Realm. This guy's luck is really bad. He even encountered a blood demon soldier. TSK, looks like he doesn't have any backing. That's right. If you really want to get in through the back door, you definitely won't encounter this thing. Puppets, like the Scarecrow, are more suitable. The blood demon soldiers did not appear during the chaotic battle. Otherwise, those people would have been eliminated even faster. They are 10 times stronger than the thunder beasts and the invisible puppets. Logically speaking, it shouldn't have appeared. Everyone felt sorry for Ling Xiao. However, this was Ling Xiao's choice. Even if Ling Xiao really died because of this, they couldn't say anything. On the resting platform, Tang Bing watched this scene excitedly. Die. Ha 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 ha. First uncle is really reliable. Not only do we have to eliminate this guy, we have to kill him. On the arena, Ling Xiao stood there calmly, staring at the blood demon soldier in front of him with an indifferent expression. He opened his Tai Chi eye, and all the information about the blood demon soldier was reflected in his mind, including its weaknesses, including its strengths. Nothing could escape his eyes. The battle hadn't started yet. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the arena. They wanted to see what kind of battle it would be. They could even imagine Ling Xiao being stomped into a meat patty by the gigantic blood demon soldier. Tang Chuyuan was sneering. He knew Ling Xiao was going to die for sure. The other 3 examiners didn't have any intention to give a score because they all thought Ling Xiao wouldn't be able to survive. Since he couldn't survive, there was no point in giving a score. But out of responsibility, they still looked at the arena. They wanted to see how the blood demon soldier was going to kill Ling Xiao. After all, this blood demon soldier was just a test product. A complete product was much stronger than this. Perhaps even a divine core warrior would be afraid of it. Why isn't it starting? Someone was getting impatient. What's the rush? The battle will end as soon as it starts. This guy won't be able to survive. I guess the examiners don't want him to die so early. That's why they're giving him some time to appreciate this world. Ha ha ha. The crowd let out a mocking laugh. They all thought Ling Xiao was overestimating himself. Let the battle begin. Tang Chuyuan finally announced the start of the battle. The reason why he announced it so late was because he wanted Ling Xiao to feel despair and fear before he died. This guy really had a wicked sense of humor. Let's end this battle with one strike. He didn't plan to use the Ice Age or the 9 transformation divine demon skill. His body instantly transformed into the everlasting heavenly rat. After that, 6 swords appeared around his body. A terrifying sword intent started to gather. The innate divine demon sword soul was also unleashed. The biggest factor in the score was the speed at which the battle ended. Therefore, he couldn't waste any more time. Although he wanted to play for a bit longer, he still wanted to kill his opponent in an instant. That way he could get more points. Right now, he wasn't thinking about anything else. He was fully focused on the battle. The blood demon soldier still hadn't moved. It had finished gathering its attack. 6 swords in 1 kill. The 6 sword radiances merged into one. It had reached the level of a first-level Emperor Martial technique. This Emperor Martial technique was divided into more detailed levels. It was no longer elementary, middle, advanced, or peak. It was divided into 10 levels. The greater the number, the more powerful it was. He didn't know about this division until he came to the 4 major regions. His 6 swords in 1 and Descent of the Divine Demon could only be considered as first-level Emperor Martial techniques. Even so, in the entire Z Mansion army, probably only those who were above the rank of sergeant could have such martial techniques. The terrifying power was concentrated in the 6 sword radiances. The 4 examiners' expressions changed. At this moment, Ling Xiao's strength increased by so much that it made them dumbfounded. The onlookers also clearly felt how terrifying that move was. The space seemed to be about to be torn apart. The blood demon soldier finally moved at this moment. It rushed toward Ling Xiao. However, it collided with the 6 sword radiances midway. Boom! A terrifying explosion sounded. Many people couldn't help but cover their ears. Sword Chi soared into the sky. The sword intent exploded crazily. The poor blood demon soldier didn't even use any of its power. It was shattered into pieces by the sword radiance. It was a mess all over the ground. The moment the attack succeeded, Ling Xiao had returned to his original appearance. He became weak and easy to bully again. All of this happened in an instant. It sounded slow, but in fact, it didn't take more than 2 seconds. The battle was over in an instant. The blood demon soldier was shattered into pieces in an instant. And he was unscathed. He was wearing a green robe and had black hair. He stood in the arena with the pieces of his opponent next to him. This kind of feeling made people feel that he was very handsome. Most people were stunned. Chapter 3596. The whole place fell into a dead silence. For examiners, please grade. It was Ling Xiao's voice that brought everyone back from the shock. He knew they were all very surprised, but the grade was the key. They didn't know what their fate would be. The people who had just woken up started to talk crazily. Am I hallucinating? That's a blood demon soldier. He actually killed it with one move. Even Lu Xiong might not be able to do that. He's only in the 3rd level of the Divine Pulse realm. How could he burst out such a terrifying combat power? There must be something strange about this guy. Nonsense. What he just used was a 1st level Emperor class martial skill. In the whole Z Mansion army, only corporals and above are qualified to use such a martial skill. This guy must have an extraordinary background. Ah, I remember now. He seemed to have fought with Tang Bing, who got in through the back door. He had injured Tang Bing without even lifting a finger. I guess someone deliberately used the blood demon soldier to trick him. In the end, it made him famous. Everyone chimed in one after another, simply unbelievably excited. Man Xiong kept shouting in the crowd, "That's my big brother. That's my big brother. Do you know?" He was so proud, as if he had passed the test himself. In the stands, Yu Qilong's eyes flashed with a touch of surprise. It had been a long time since he had seen such a bright young man. Zi Long was even more excited. Since Ling Xiao saved him, he felt that Ling Xiao was definitely not ordinary. But it was just a feeling before. Today he finally saw it. Ling Xiao definitely hid his strength. "Sister, did you see that? He actually killed that blood demon soldier with one move." "Yes, it's really surprising. He actually knows how to use an Emperor-class martial skill, and it seems that he has reached perfection. This means that he has already succeeded in cultivating it, but his cultivation is only in the 3rd level of the Divine Pulse realm. This guy's talent is terrifying." Zi Qinya originally didn't want to pay attention to Ling Xiao. Although Ling Xiao saved her brother, she just wanted to give him some spirit stones to repay his kindness. But now her thoughts were different. This little fellow was definitely a promising talent. If she could win him over and use him for her, it would definitely not be a bad thing. Not only that, Sun Xing suddenly said, "This kid can also transform into a beast spirit, and he also has an innate sword spirit." That was a Xiantian martial soul. Oh my God, a martial artist at the 3rd level of the Divine Vein realm actually had a Xiantian martial soul. There must be a warrior who gave him his martial spirit's power. Beast warrior, warrior, emperor level martial skill. Hee, this brat seems to have a lot of secrets. The Invigilators and Kiliarchs were also discussing spiritedly. Before Ling Xiao made his move, they didn't think much of this kid. But now, Ling Xiao seemed to be in high demand. Big sister, he should be able to get full marks. With this kind of performance, I don't believe that there will be anyone better than him. Zilong said excitedly. After all, he was his savior, so it was natural for him to be biased. However, even if he was biased, he believed that none of the remaining people would be able to destroy the blood demon soldier. If the grading is fair, of course, he will get full marks. Zi Qinya also nodded and said, if she were the examiner, she would naturally give such a grade. If such an amazing performance couldn't be given full marks, or if he got a high score, it would really affect the reputation of the Zifu army. As for Tang Bing, who was looking forward to Ling Zhao's death, he was completely dumbfounded. At this moment, he still felt dizzy. It was too scary. Ling Xiao was really too scary. It turned out that he had been merciful before. Otherwise, if he had hit him with this move, he would have been torn into pieces. No, he might have been directly turned into ashes. As for Tang Chunwan, he was also frowning. Now he was stuck in a dilemma. He absolutely didn't expect that Ling Xiao could destroy the blood demon soldier. And not only did he do it, but he also did it so perfectly. If he gave a low score without convincing comments, he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to pass the test of the invigilators. Not to mention those onlookers who were staring at them with their eyes wide open. The Zifu army also cared about their reputation. But Tang Bing was his illegitimate son. Tang Bing was bullied by this kid, so he had to take revenge. Wasn't it just a reason? He had been an examiner for several years, so he could make up a bunch of reasons. But if he was the only one who gave a low score, it was obviously inappropriate. So he touched the black-clothed male examiner and whispered a few words in his ear. The black-clothed male examiner looked reluctant, but he nodded and agreed in the end. There was no other way. They were all in the same profession. It was not worthwhile to quarrel with an outsider. The two of them were still discussing. The first two examiners had already shown their grades. The red-clothed female examiner gave a full score, 100. Too outstanding. Really too outstanding. I've been an examiner for 3 years, and I've never seen such an outstanding young man. You're only at the 3rd level of the Divine Vein Realm, but you've mastered the Emperor-level martial skill to such an extent. Just for this point, I have to give you a full score. Otherwise, I won't be able to rest easy. Seeing this score, basically no one objected. Ling Zhao's performance was obvious to everyone. Giving a full score was actually something that many people had expected from the start. The first person to get a full score was born just like that. After that, the white-clothed female examiner also gave a full score, 100. She also smiled and said, when facing the blood demon soldier, you were able to kill it in one strike. Moreover, you directly hit the blood demon soldier's weakness. I'm sure that no one here, other than the person who made the blood demon soldier, can do it. Not even me. If I don't give you a full score, how can I justify it? At this moment, everyone was certain that Ling Xiao could get the highest score. Even if he didn't get 100 in the end, it should be the highest score among the martial artists in this assessment. They looked at the third examiner with anticipation. The black-clothed male examiner hesitated for a long time. The first two examiners gave such high scores. If he suddenly got a low score, it would be awkward. But Tang Wan was stronger than him. However, Tang Chuyuan was stronger than him and was considered a veteran. He also had a very good relationship with the Chiliarch who led them. There was no need to offend people because of awkwardness. After thinking about it, he still decided to follow Tang Muan's suggestion. He directly flipped open the scoreboard and gave a score that made everyone dumbfounded. 0. 0. Including Yu Qilong and the other examiners. They were all stunned. With such a performance, he actually gave a 0. Was there something wrong with this examiner's brain? However, before they could say anything, the black-clothed male examiner said indifferently, you should be at least 17 years old this year. At 17 years old, your cultivation is only at the 3rd level of the Divine Vein Realm. This shows that your aptitude is very low. The reason why you can defeat the blood demon soldier is because of the strength that others gave you. But that's all you can do. That's your limit. In the future, no one will give you the same strength. I'm afraid your cultivation will forever be stuck at the 3rd level of the Divine Vein Realm. Chapter 3597. The black-clothed male examiner continued. I don't recommend the Zifu army to take in someone like you, even though giving you 0 might be a bit too much. But I just want to tell you that the strength you gained by relying on others will never belong to you. One had to admit that this examiner was quite eloquent. With this reason alone, many people nodded in agreement. Of course, more people were angry and dissatisfied. Loud curses could be heard all over the place, because many people were afraid that they would be treated unfairly like this. Therefore, they had to speak up for Ling Xiao. At first, the examiner's words seemed to make sense, but after thinking about it carefully, It was simply bullsh asterisk T. What he said was all about the future. But who could grasp the future? Using such a ridiculous reason to reject someone who had such a perfect performance was simply shameless. Besides, that Tang Bing's performance was like sh asterisk T, yet he was given more than 70 points. So Ling Xiao was given 0 points? This was simply a blatant act of recklessness. Shut up, all of you! Tang Chu and suddenly shouted with a stern voice. Every examiner has their own evaluation criteria. If anyone is dissatisfied, you can stand out. I want to see who dares to cause trouble on the day of the Zifu army's recruitment. With his shout, those people were a bit angry, but didn't dare to say anything. Why was Ling Xiao given 0 points? Actually, everyone knew that he had offended someone. Seeing that everyone was silent, Tang Chuan was a bit proud. He casually looked at Ling Xiao and said, "My point is also the same. At your age, if your cultivation had reached the 5th level of the divine vein realm, you would still be worth nurturing. If your cultivation had reached the 6th level of the divine vein realm, you would be considered a little genius. But you are only at the 3rd level of the divine vein realm, which means that your potential has already been dug out. Why should the Zifu army spend resources on nurturing someone who has no future? Giving you 0 points is just a warning to some people. Don't think that you can enter the Zifu army just because you have strong combat strength. The Zifu army wants geniuses, not trash. All right, stop talking nonsense and get out. There are other people who are fighting below." Tang Chuan's words were even more excessive. His reason was the same as the black-clothed male examiners, but his words were even more resolute. This made many people a bit angry, but they didn't dare to say it out loud. Of course, Ling Xiao would not leave. He stood there and looked at Tang Chu Nunnery coldly. Needless to say, everything was caused by this old thing. Of course, this old thing was also doing this for his nephew, Tang Bing. Since you dare to act so recklessly, don't blame me for being impolite. I'm not Lu Xiong. I'm not someone you can dismiss with just a few words. He could choose not to join the Zifu army, but no one could deny his potential and future. Even if he had to leave, he was going to let these bastards know that he, Ling Xiao, was not a pushover. Furthermore, Tang Chu Nunnery was only a centurion and an examiner. He wasn't even considered a chief examiner. The main examiner was the female examiner in red. There were also invigilators above. Not to mention, the captain and Yu Qilong were also present. The Purple Mansion Army was not something that the Tang Chu Nunnery could cover with one hand. This examiner is called Tang Chuyuan, right? Ling Xiao suddenly said in a clear voice. His voice was infused with vital energy. Although it was not loud, everyone could hear it clearly. Tang Chuyuan was just about to speak when Ling Xiao interrupted him. "Tang Chuyuan, as an examiner, you didn't want to select talents for the Purple Mansion Army, but for your own selfish reasons, you let your nephew pass the examination by cheating. But because I offended your nephew, you refused to let me pass. I don't know if this is your idea alone or the idea of the whole Purple Mansion Army. If the Purple Mansion Army is all about nepotism and selfishness, I don't think there's any need for us to join. There's no need for this examination. You can just choose your nephews, or even your sons and grandsons. It also saves a lot of resources and manpower." "Ha ha ha, well said. This kid is a bit interesting. Yu Qilong, what kind of lousy place is this? Even if you want to get in through the back door, you should do it secretly. Don't you feel ashamed? If this matter spreads to the Purple Mansion Royal City, I don't think your father can protect you." Sun Xing couldn't help but laugh. Although many people were afraid of the Purple Mansion Army and knew that they had been wronged, they didn't dare to say anything. But Sun Xing wasn't afraid. He wasn't even afraid of the king of the Purple Mansion Kingdom. So why would he be afraid of Yu Qilong? Yu Qilong's face was very ugly. He didn't like Su Mingjin and her disciples, but he had to admit that Sun Sheng's words were very reasonable. although many people didn't dare to say anything about what had happened here. But who could stop them from sending a letter of complaint to the Purple Mansion Royal City? Besides, this good-for-nothing Tang Chuyuan covered up for his illegitimate son and let him get away with it. He could turn a blind eye to it, but now he had to kick such a talent out of the Purple Mansion army. He must be crazy. If you wanted to deal with him, you could have waited until he entered the Purple Mansion army. But now you want him to clean up the mess? Brother Qilong, did you hear that? Your examiner doesn't seem to be very good. Even a fool can see that Tang Bing and this Ling Xiao are better. But in the end, the situation happened. You have to do justice. Zi Long looked at Yu Qilong and said. Yu Qilong could ignore Sun Sheng's words, but he couldn't ignore Zi Long's. Zi Long was Zi Qinya's younger brother. He had to curry favor with Zi Long otherwise. How could he get Zi Qinya's favor? At this moment, the spectator stand was in a mess. Tang Chuyuan started to flip out. What are you waiting for? Get this nonsense out of here right now. Yes, a few Purple Mansion Realm soldiers obeyed the order. They were all in the 5th level of the Divine Vein Realm. They rushed into the arena and tried to take Ling Xiao away. But Ling Xiao didn't finish his words. How could he leave just like that? Get lost, he shouted, and a terrifying power surged out of his body. His body suddenly transformed into the 9-snake General Beast Soul, and 9 snake heads flew out from his back. All the Purple Mansion Realm soldiers were sent flying. However, he didn't kill them because he didn't want to offend the Purple Mansion army. This guy is too strong. He's too bold. He even dares to attack the Purple Mansion Realm soldiers? The crowd was in an uproar. They thought that the examiner had announced the score, and Ling Xiao could only accept it silently. But they didn't expect that not only did Ling Xiao not leave, but he also exposed the examiner's true colors. Many people didn't dare to stand out. But when they thought that they might be eliminated by trash like Tang Bing, they couldn't help but feel angry. The 1 million people who were eliminated hadn't left yet. During the chaotic battle, they noticed that the puppet beasts didn't attack Tang Bing. They thought that Tang Bing was strong enough. But now that they thought about it, it was obvious that someone had done something. They couldn't accept it, so they all stood out. Chapter 3598. Fairness. We need fairness. The roars of more than 1 million people were like muffled thunder exploding in the entire arena. Even Tang Chuan's expression became very ugly. If this caused a group incident, it would be very serious. At this moment, even he was a little panicked. Although it was not a new thing in the Zifu army to get in through the back door, but it was the first time he had caused such a big commotion. As the saying goes, there is strength in numbers. If it was only 1 or 2 people who resisted, he was not afraid at all. But now, more than 1 million people were scolding him for abusing his power for personal gain. This made him a little panicked. Originally, Tang Chuan thought that killing Ling Xiao would settle this matter. But now, even if Ling Xiao really died, this matter would probably be blown up. If he did not give these people an explanation today, it would be very difficult to settle this matter. Damn it, even if I have to give up my position as a centurion today, I will still kill you, this troublemaker. Tang Yamo, go kill that guy. As an examiner, Tang Chuan could not do it himself. Once he did, he would not be able to clear his name even if he jumped into the Yellow River. But his son, Tang Mo, could. Tang Mo was a corporal, and his cultivation was at the 7th level of the True Element realm. His strength was much stronger than Ling Xiao's. He could definitely kill Ling Xiao. But at this moment, a voice sounded. All of you quiet down, or I will kill you. This voice was filled with powerful majesty. Everyone was stunned. Even the 1 million plus martial artists who were causing trouble had regained their composure. They realized that this was the Zifu army, not some other place. If they really made a big commotion, the Zifu army might kill them all. Killing people to silence them was very common in this world. Even if they were more than 1 million people, it was the same. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice. The one who stood out was a brigadier general, a captain. It could be clearly recognized from the clothes he was wearing. Have you all calmed down? That's good. I am Fong Ming, a captain of the Zifu army, the person in charge of today's test. If you want to continue causing trouble, then please continue. But what kind of punishment will you receive next? I think you know better than me. If you want to solve the problem, then obediently return to your position. I will give you a satisfactory answer. Yu Qilong didn't make an appearance. Instead, he sent a captain to deal with this matter. But it was enough. The first Divine Corps captains, Fong Ming. The one in charge was also the new army. The 4 examiners were his subordinates. Therefore, his words still carried a lot of weight. This person spoke in a very dignified manner, revealing a thick sense of warning. But at the same time, he promised to solve the problem. Thus, everyone stopped making a fuss. He didn't dare to make a fuss anymore. Just now he was hot-headed. Now that he thought about it carefully, he was a little scared. If he really offended the Z Mansion army, he might not even have the chance to come back in the future. Even if he did, he probably wouldn't be able to save his life. Ling Xiao looked at Fong Ming. Although this person spoke in a dignified manner, this was not what he wanted. What they needed was to solve the problem. If the result did not satisfy him, he would not give up just like that. Even if the Purple Mansion army didn't enter today, he wouldn't suffer such humiliation. After everyone quieted down, Fong Ming turned to Ling Xiao and said, "Although both examiners have their own opinions, I'm the final judge. As the chief examiner, I have the final say. No matter how many points you get, you'll still be able to enter the final 100. But because of the revival round, if you can't pass this round, I can't help you. Are you satisfied with this?" Hearing what Fong Ming said, everyone nodded their heads silently. This chief examiner was indeed the chief examiner. He was a man who understood the bigger picture. He also knew how to calm everyone's anger. What about that Tang Bing? He got in through the back door. Someone shouted, "Don't worry, I've told you just now, because everyone is unhappy with the results of today's exam. Therefore, we've added a revival round. In other words, there will be a one-on-one battle between 200 warriors in the final round. Only the top 100 who win will stay. If that Tang Bing really cheated his way into the final round, he will definitely be eliminated." Fong Ming explained. In order to calm everyone's anger and restore the image of the Z Mansion army, he had to do this. It wasn't a big deal anyway. That guy called Ling Xiao. "You haven't answered my question." Fong Ming looked at Ling Xiao and said, if it wasn't for the fact that Ling Xiao had Zilong and Ziqinya behind him, he wouldn't be so serious. After all, Tang Chuyuan was an old subordinate of his. Even if he did something wrong, he shouldn't point it out in front of so many people. It was too embarrassing. "Sorry, I'm not satisfied." Ling Xiao's voice rang out, startling everyone. "Brett, don't push your luck." Tang Chuyuan said coldly, "Shut up. Let him speak." Fong Ming glared at Tang Chuyuan. If it wasn't for Tang Chuyuan, he wouldn't have to come forward to settle this matter. "Brat, what are you not satisfied with?" Fong Ming wasn't happy either. A mere martial artist at the 3rd level of the Divine Vein Realm actually wasn't satisfied with his treatment. "Don't you know what I'm not satisfied with? I don't care about what you said about me being able to enter the final 100, no matter what score I get. Even if I don't get full marks for my performance, I should at least get the highest score. I don't even need to participate in the revival match. Therefore, I just got what I deserved." "In fact, you didn't do anything that you should have done," Ling Xiao said loudly. Originally, many people thought that Ling Xiao was a little greedy, but after listening to it, it seemed to make sense. However, would you be able to reason with the Z Mansion army? Everyone looked at Fong Ming as though they wanted to know how Fong Ming was going to deal with this matter. "All right, we can give you a new score. Also, Tang Chuyuan, apologize to this young man immediately." Fang Ming looked at Tang Chuyuan and said, "Captain." Tang Chuyuan looked at Fang Ming in surprise. He didn't understand why. "Why? Even I can't order you around?" Fang Ming said coldly. Tang Chuyuan gritted his teeth. Looking at Fang Ming's serious expression, he knew that he might have unintentionally offended someone he shouldn't have. "Sorry, my score is too low." He couldn't even bear to look at Ling Xiao. "Be more serious," Fang Ming shouted sternly. Tang Chuan's expression became very ugly. He turned his head to look at Ling Xiao, sucked in a deep breath, and clasped his hands as he said, "Little brother, it was my old eyes that were blurry and couldn't see your potential. Therefore, I gave you 0 points. I'm sorry." He was apologizing, but in fact, he wasn't convinced. Therefore, he was obviously acting in a fit of pique when he said that. He didn't have any intention of apologizing. It was as though Fang Ming had wronged him. How could Ling Xiao accept such an apology? Even the other martial artists were discussing animatedly, pointing and gesticulating. He's not like a man at all. He's apologizing like a girl. Chapter 35-99. Enough. If he doesn't even know how to apologize, ask him to scram. Our Zifu army won't keep trash like him. Yu Qilong couldn't stand it anymore. Tang Chununri's appearance really made him lose face. Yu Qilong didn't want to say anything and wanted to give Tang Chunwan some face. However, he had no choice now. Most importantly, Tang Chunwan didn't even have the sincerity to apologize. He didn't have the pride that a centurion should have. Hearing Yu Qilong's words, Tang Chunwan's expression changed. He hurriedly said, "Little brother Ling Xiao, I shouldn't have given a random grade because of personal grudges. I shouldn't have instigated the other examiners to do so. Please forgive me. How is it? Are you satisfied?" Fang Ming looked at Ling Xiao and asked. Ling Xiao thought about it and decided that he couldn't go overboard. He was content that Tangchu nunnery had been forced to this extent. Thus he said, "I'm satisfied." "Good, as long as you're satisfied. Tang Chunwan and you, Scram, you're disqualified. I'm one of the examiners, and the next one is a Chiliarch." Fang Ming was afraid that Ling Xiao would cause trouble again. If that happened, it wouldn't be easy to clean up the mess. In fact, his worry was unnecessary. Ling Xiao wanted Tang Chunwan to be humiliated. It was enough for him to fulfill this wish. The 2 new examiners regraded and gave full marks. In the end, Ling Xiao obtained 400 points and became the most outstanding examiner. Although there were many examiners behind him, no one could surpass Ling Xiao. After all, Ling Xiao defeated Xue Mobing, who was at the 6th level of the Divine Vein Realm. This was a record that no one else could do. "Little sister Qinya, are you satisfied?" Yu Qilong looked at Zi Qinya and asked. "You shouldn't be asking me this question. That little fellow deserves full marks, right? Brother Qilong, your Zifu army has been slacking all these years. How did you get someone like Tang Chunwan?" Zi Qinya sighed. Yu Qilong was slightly embarrassed. To be honest, if it wasn't for the fact that he wanted to curry favor with Zi Long and Zi Qinya, he wouldn't have interfered in this matter. Even if he knew what Tangchu nunnery had done, he would at most reprimand her in private. He would not be as strict as he was today. But the truth was that even today he had shown mercy. Otherwise, this kind of cheating, if it was in the Zifu city, would be a serious crime that would result in a beheading. Ling Xiao was actually benefiting from Zi Qinya. Of course, it was also because he had saved Zilong that he had created this condition for himself. At this moment, the most depressed person was Tangchu nunnery. An examiner was removed from his position in front of everyone. He even apologized to a kid in front of so many people. He had really lost all his face, but fortunately he didn't die. This could be considered lucky. If he had reflected on his mistakes because of this matter, then there probably wouldn't have been such a thing. But he didn't. This guy hated Ling Xiao to the core. He wanted to find a way to kill Ling Xiao. He was a dignified centurion who had reached the 8th level of the Divine Vein realm. Yet he was humiliated by a mere 3rd level Divine Vein realm martial artist. How could he take this lying down? "Kid, you're still too inexperienced to fight with me. Although I was punished, I have many acquaintances in the Purple Mansion Army. I can easily use some eye drops on you, and you'll be finished," he thought viciously. Then he asked his son, Tang Mo, to call Tang Bing. Tang Bing was also in a bad mood. In order to teach Ling Xiao a lesson, he had lost his uncle's position as an examiner. "Binger, do you want to take revenge?" Tangchu Nunnery looked at Tang Bing and asked, "Yes, of course I want to. But with my strength, I'm no match for him." "Uncle, you've seen that guy's strength." Even the 6th level Divine Vein Realm Blood Demon Soldier was no match for him. Tang Bing smiled bitterly. "Look at your cowardice." Tangchu Nunnery said angrily, "Of course I know you're no match for him. But have you forgotten? Many years ago, we once obtained a substitute talisman. It wasn't a talisman made by the spirit augmentation masters of the 4 major regions. It came from the Immortal Court continent. As long as you use it, you can change your identity and appearance with your cousin. It can last for a day. Your cousin is a 7th level Divine Vein Realm Corporal. Wouldn't killing that kid be as easy as killing an ant?" "That's great. It can actually be done like this. But how can I let my cousin face him?" Tang Bing asked doubtfully. "Don't worry. Leave it to me. In the revival match later, I'll definitely let your cousin face that kid." Tangchu Nunnery believed that he had the ability to do so. "Tang Mo, are you confident?" Tangchu Nunnery looked at his son. "Tang Mo, father, don't worry. That kid actually embarrassed you and didn't give me any face before. I was just worried that I wouldn't have a chance to deal with him. You gave me such a good opportunity. How can I miss it? I'll definitely kill him." Tang Mo nodded. "All right. You two go and prepare to change your identities for the following matters." Tangchu Nunnery sneered. "Ling Xiao, oh Ling Xiao, even if you have 3 heads and 6 arms, there's no way you can escape from this old man's palm." Ling Xiao had no idea about Tangchu Nunnery's evil plan. After leaving the arena, he continued his cultivation. The following matches were carried out in an orderly manner. In fact, Tangchu Nunnery's evaluation of the other participants was pretty accurate. Apart from Tang Bing and Ling Xiao, there weren't any other problems. Therefore, although there were some who joined in the fun, there wasn't much to say now. Furthermore, the examiner had been changed. Fong Ming's evaluation was obviously more accurate, and his comments were clearer and more accurate. All the warriors were convinced by his evaluation. Finally, all 1,000 men's battles had come to an end. The 200 men with the highest scores stayed behind, while the rest of the participants went back to the audience seating area. The reason why they didn't leave was because they were very interested in the revival match. Of course, before the revival match, Zilong also participated in an exhibition match. In a one-on-one battle, he only used 3 strikes to kill a first divine core puppet. This also proved his strength was not just for show. The reason Zilong did this was to tell everyone that although he was specially recruited, he was strong enough. He was different from Tang Bing. In fact, he had achieved the effect he wanted. For the past few days, Ling Xiao hadn't left the arena. He had been here day and night. Through the analysis and practice of the Tai Chi Eye, he had gained a lot of experience from watching other people's battles, especially Zilong's battle. Although it was just one battle, he had gained a lot from it. Why was his combat technique so much better than others? Aside from the fact that the Tai Chi Eye could accurately calculate, more importantly, he could convert other people's experiences into his own. He hadn't fought for the past few days, but he had gained a lot. Because of the heart of gold, the energy in his cultivation sea had increased by 20%. Although it was only 20%, he had to take a few steps to reach 1,000 miles. Besides, he only needed 100% of the energy. 20% was actually not a small amount. Chapter 3600. Other than the increase in energy in his cultivation sea. More importantly, Ling Xiao's understanding of martial arts had improved significantly. He had reached the transcendent state from the perfected state. This was all thanks to the experience he had gained from others. Next, we will begin the lot drawing ceremony for the revival match. Those who draw the same number will be their opponents. The winner will enter the Purple Mansion army. Fang Ming looked at the remaining 200 people and announced. At the mention of the lot drawing ceremony, many people frowned. Among these people, there were two people they didn't want to meet the most. One was Lu Xiong. Regardless of Lu Xiong's potential, he was at the 7th level of the Divine Vein Realm. Who would be his match? The other one was Ling Xiao. Lu Xiong was able to defeat the 6th level of the Divine Vein Realm using a 1st-level Emperor-class martial technique. The result of the lot drawing surprised Ling Xiao. Logically speaking, the lot drawing should be a match between those with higher and lower scores. This way, the stronger ones would not be eliminated. In other words, someone like Ling Xiao who had 400 points should be the one with the lowest score. However, that was not the case. He had drawn Tang Bing. Looking at the lot drawing, Ling Xiao couldn't help but laugh. After all this time, this Tang Chu nunnery still refused to give up. He actually wanted Tang Bing to deal with him. However, Tang Bing was so weak that he must have some tricks up his sleeves. He wanted to see what kind of tricks Tang Chu nunnery had up his sleeves. After the lot drawing ceremony, Fang Ming gave the martial artists an hour to rest. Ling Xiao wanted to eat something to calm himself down. However, he met someone. Young Master Zilong. Ling Xiao looked at the young man in front of him and smiled bitterly. If possible, he didn't want to make friends with the king's mansion so soon. After all, it would be difficult to repay a favor. So your name is Ling Xiao. I didn't get the chance to ask for your name last time. Thank you for saving me. Zilong was a straightforward person. He was only 1 year younger than Ling Xiao, but the feeling he gave Ling Xiao was that Zilong was like a child. This was probably because he had been through a lot. Ever since Zilong was born, he had always lived in the little purple spirit kingdom. He had never been anywhere else. But he had gone from the heavenly dragon continent to the divine phoenix continent, and then to the white tiger continent. Now, they had even entered the 4 great regions of the black tortoise continent. The things that happened during this period of time were probably beyond Zilong's imagination. Don't mention it. Besides, you helped me just now, right? If it wasn't for you and Zi Qinya, I'm afraid General Yu Qilong wouldn't care about such a small matter. Although I can't join the Zifu army here, I can still go to other small countries, but it will still waste some time. Ling Xiao smiled. He was aware of his own limitations. Yu Qilong was a complete stranger to him. So how could he let Tang Chu nunnery apologize to him? Someone must be helping him from behind. In the entire grandstand, the only person he recognized was Zilong. It's nothing. Yu Qilong is only willing to help because he wants to pursue my sister. In fact, this is what he should do. In my opinion, a lieutenant general's Zifu army has such a centurion. As the commander, he can't escape the blame. Zilong waved his hand and said, "Forget it. Let's not talk about this. I came to you to remind you to be careful of that Tang Bing. Don't think that he is still the trash from before. I can feel a different aura from him." I understand. Ling Xiao also had the same feeling. Tang Bing was completely different from before. It was as if he had been reborn and become a different person. It's good that you understand. This thing is called the Fire Dragon Mark. Take it. It was made by the Spirit Augmentation Master of the Little Purple Spirit Kingdom. It can release a powerful attack. Basically, martial artists below the 7th level of the Divine Vein Realm can't block it. But it's a pity that the Spirit Augmentation Masters of the 4 great regions can't compare to those of the Immortal Court Continent. This thing can only be used once. If you need it, don't hesitate and use it directly. Winning is more important. There's no need to make things difficult for yourself. Zilong took out a strange knife and gave it to Ling Xiao. He said, "After you use it, it will become an ordinary knife. Keep it as a souvenir." "I'm afraid that's not appropriate." Ling Xiao didn't want to take Zilong's things because he didn't want to owe anyone a favor. Once you owed someone a favor, you would be trapped in it. It must be known that the faction that assassinated Zilong was extremely powerful. If they knew that he saved Zilong, he would be in big trouble. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just a fire dragon mark. It's nothing rare. If you want to buy it, you can buy it with 30,000 high-grade spirit stones. Zilong stuffed the thing into Ling Xiao's hands. "Without you, I would be dead. If you don't even accept this, then you are looking down on me." Since Zilong had said so, Ling Xiao could only reluctantly accept it. The moment he touched it, he could feel the aura of a formation on the fire dragon mark. There was also some kind of special energy flowing. However, the fusion of the formation and the flying knife was still lacking. It was far from reaching the level of a magic weapon. "I can modify it a little," Ling Xiao thought to himself. In his mountain river world, there were many materials for setting up formations and formations. If he wanted to modify this fire dragon mark, it wouldn't be difficult. "What did you say?" Zilong was stunned. "Nothing." Ling Xiao smiled and said, "Young Master Zilong, you are the monarch's younger brother. You don't have to risk your life in the Z Mansion army. I heard that the bloody battlefield is very bloody. If he wasn't careful, he might lose his life. With your talent and the monarch's training, you will become a powerhouse sooner or later. Why take the risk? What about you? You know that the bloody battlefield is so dangerous, but you still go?" Zilong asked with a smile. "I'm different from you. I don't have so many resources, and I don't have the monarch's sister, so I have to work hard on my own. For me, the bloody battlefield is the key to a breakthrough in strength. At the same time as danger, there are also opportunities." Ling Xiao answered, "I see. Let me tell you the truth. I have been stuck at the first divine core realm for too long. I am eager to break through. The bloody battlefield is very important to me." Zilong said in a serious manner, "I can't stay under my sister's protection for the rest of my life. My goal is to become the strongest man in the entire Golden Heavenly region." "Then I'm afraid we are going to be rivals," Ling Xiao said with a smile on his face. "You want to become the strongest man in the Golden Heavenly region as well?" Zilong asked excitedly. "No, I want to become the strongest man in all 4 regions. I want to go to the next continent," Ling Xiao answered. If someone else said this, Zilong might laugh at that person for overestimating himself. But when it came from Ling Xiao, Zilong didn't find it funny. Instead, he felt it was true. "You're really special. Then, I wish both of us the best in realizing our dreams." Zilong extended his hand and shook Ling Xiao's hand. Chapter 3601. An hour later, the battle finally began. Although Lu Xiong was thought to have insufficient potential, his strength was beyond doubt. Hence, his opponent was defeated in one move, and he also successfully entered the Purple Mansion army. In the following battle, the disparity in strength between both sides was actually quite large. Just as Ling Xiao had said in normal battles, those with higher scores would fight against those with lower scores. Head to tail, only he and Tang Bing were exceptions. But the further it went, the smaller the disparity between martial artists became, and the battles also became more white-hot. To really pass, one needed to fight with all their might. Luckily, they defeated their opponent with a slight advantage. Very soon, it was Ling Xiao and Tang Bing's turn to battle. Regarding this battle, many people came with the mentality of watching a joke. Tang Bing's trash appearance, they had seen it. Ling Xiao's powerful appearance, they had also seen it. It was very hard to imagine that these two people could have a match of more than one move. But Ling Xiao did not think so. The feeling that Tang Bing gave him was like a completely different person. This matter was not good. But with the fire dragon mark in hand, he did not care so much in his heart. The two people entered the arena at the same time. Tang Bing pointed at Ling Xiao and said, "Kid, you and those blind things all said that I entered through the back door. Insulted my father, no, my uncle. Today, I'm going to let you blind things see whether I'm trash or not." "Father, this guy is indeed fishy." Ling Xiao frowned, but because there was no evidence, he did not want to risk exposing it either. If he screwed it up, it would not be good for him. Wasn't it just a battle? He had plenty of trump cards and had no fear at all. "Are you done with the nonsense? Can you make your move now?" Ling Xiao said coolly. "Still so arrogant? You won't be able to be arrogant in a while." Tang Bing laughed coldly. His feet trembled, and his figure suddenly disappeared from the spot. When he appeared again, he was already in front of Ling Xiao. This speed was so fast that it gave many people a fright. That's not right. Was this guy so powerful just now? Facing a scarecrow, he couldn't even kill it for half a day. Could it be that he was hiding his strength? "I can't see through him. I can't see through him." This seems to be the strength of a cultivator at the 5th level of the divine vein realm. It seems like he broke through. Tang Mo fought in Tang Bing's place. He didn't want to reveal his identity, so he suppressed Tang Bing from the start. He felt that he could easily defeat Ling Xiao with his cultivation at the 5th level of the divine vein realm. There was no need to use his true strength. "This isn't your true strength, right?" Ling Xiao suddenly entered the 9-snake general beast soul transformation state. Then, the innate God-fiend sword soul was released. Ice Age was also taken out by him. He directly went up and attacked fiercely, not retreating at all. Instant freeze. Ice River 9 turns. After 2 consecutive attacks, Tang Bing was sent flying. "You are not qualified to attack me with this kind of strength." Ling Xiao looked coldly at Tang Bing in the distance. His feet shook as he launched another attack. Ice Age in his hand turned into a cold sword shadow as he crazily attacked. Tang Bing was forced to retreat, and his face was gloomy. This Ling Xiao is really strong. That sword in his hand should be a divine emperor artifact. He actually has such a weapon. It seems like his origin isn't simple. Not only that, he can execute a peak-grade king class martial technique to perfection. It is comparable to a rank 1 emperor class martial technique at the initial success stage. Even if that Tang Bing broke through, it is meaningless. He is still far from being a match for Jiang Yi. He can only be suppressed. Everyone's impression of Ling Xiao was getting better and better. This person seemed to always have endless potential, always able to let others see new things. "Damn it, I think you are purely courting death." Tang Bing was forced to retreat, and the anger in his heart kept rising. Finally, he couldn't care less about hiding it anymore. The combat strength of a cultivator at the 6th level of the divine vein realm burst out. A terrifying aura was released from his body. "This is still not your true strength." Ling Xiao's Tai Chi I clearly captured the opponent's true strength. It was at the 7th level of the divine vein realm, not at the 6th level of the divine vein realm. He suddenly transformed into the peerless, heavenly, rat beast soul transformation. Then, he still used the Ice Age to attack his opponent. However, the Ice Age at this time was divided into 2. It turned into black and white swords. The divine demon's sword soul behind him was shining brightly, and terrifying sword intent was constantly released. Damn it. This guy's peak-grade king class martial technique is comparable to a rank 1 emperor class martial technique at the initial success stage. I can't stop him at all with martial techniques of the same level. Looks like I can only display my trump card martial skill. This was something that Tang Mo, who was pretending to be Tang Bing, didn't expect. He originally thought that he would have the strength to crush Ling Xiao when he released the strength of a cultivator at the 6th level of the divine vein realm. But now, it seemed like the truth wasn't so. Ling Xiao's strength was still much more terrifying than he imagined. No wonder this kid was so arrogant. It seemed like he really had the qualifications to be arrogant. But no matter what, he had to die. Thinking of this, he suddenly roared. He raised his hand, and a long saber appeared in his hand. Rank 1 Emperor Class, Martial Technique, 9-fold Demonic Slash. The long saber in his hand suddenly condensed a terrifying power. Then it slashed down. 9-fold saber qi rushed towards Ling Xiao. It was like 9 waves, each stronger than the previous. The so-called 9-fold demonic slash was a martial technique that Ling Xiao had cultivated before. But in terms of power, it was far inferior to Tang Mo's move. 9-fold attacks, each stronger than the previous. Even if you could block the first attack, you might not be able to block the next 8. An Emperor-class martial technique was an Emperor-class martial technique. Its power was absolutely extraordinary. This was also the only rank 1 Emperor-class martial technique that Tang Mo, as a sergeant, had mastered. Moreover, he was very proud that he had cultivated it to the stage of major success. Generally speaking, a sergeant-level Purple Mansion Realm soldier could be considered a genius if he could master an Emperor-class martial technique and cultivate it to the stage of major success. Tang Mo was obviously not bad. Under the nurturing of his centurion father, Tang Chu, he was still very capable. When everyone saw this scene, they were a little stunned. Was this Tang Bing still the same Tang Bing from before? Not only did his cultivation soar to the 6th level of the Divine Vein Realm, but he also mastered an Emperor-class martial technique? Wasn't this too strange? Could it be that he had been pretending to be ugly all this time? Did he deliberately let others look down on him? Many people had such thoughts, but there were also people who thought differently. A person might be able to hide his strength, but his fighting style and aura would change. This is impossible. What did that bastard Tang Chu do? He really makes people worry. Fong Ming's face was a little gloomy. It's fine if he doesn't see through it, but if he does, then the Purple Mansion Army will lose face again today. However, that Ling Xiao was truly arrogant enough. It was better to let Tang Mo teach him a lesson first. When it's about time, I'll save him and make him owe me a favor. While Fong Ming was thinking about this, the situation on the battlefield changed again. Chapter 3602. Go to hell, you arrogant brat. In his rage, Tang Mo did not show any mercy in this attack. He was aiming to kill Ling Xiao. It was already quite impossible for Ling Xiao to change moves at this time. The black and white swords collided with the 9 layers of saber energy. They were sent flying as soon as they broke through the first layer of saber energy. There was even a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. Tang Bing is so strong. Don't worry. Ling Xiao hasn't used an Emperor-level martial skill yet. Everyone had seen the Emperor-level martial skill Ling Xiao used against the Blood Demon Soldier. They were looking forward to it. Ling Xiao retreated rapidly, but as he retreated, he started to prepare for Demon God's descent. Light and shadow, 2 different types of energy, bloomed on his body. Then, like a demonic god, he resumed his attacks. The Demon God's descent had reached the transformation stage. Its power was many times stronger than before. 9 transformation technique, Demon God's descent. Kill. A terrifying aura bloomed from the black and white swords. Ling Xiao turned into a black and white light and attacked the 9 layers of saber energy. That's it. That's right. Ling Xiao used this move to defeat the Blood Demon Soldier. Many people were excited. In this battle, they were more willing to support Ling Xiao than Tang Bing. No one liked people who cheated to enter the Purple Mansion Army. After all, if one cheated, the other person who could enter the Purple Mansion Army would be eliminated. Tang Mo's Emperor-level martial skill wasn't weak. but it was only at the great accomplishment stage. On the other hand, although Ling Xiao's Emperor-class martial skill was at the same level, it was at the transformation stage. It was much stronger than Tang Mo's Emperor-level martial skill. Therefore, when the black and white sword light met the 9 layers of saber qi, it began to destroy everything in its path. The 9 layers of saber energy kept shattering. Collapse! How is this possible? Tang Mo was completely stunned. He used his strength at the 6th level of the Divine Vein Realm and his strongest Emperor-class martial skill. Unexpectedly, he was unable to defeat Ling Xiao. Instead, at this moment, his Emperor-level martial skill was crumbling. He did not believe it to be true. However, everything in front of him told him that this was the truth. Whether he believed it or not, it was all the same. With a kacha sound, in the end, the saber qi was directly shattered. I refuse to believe that I can't defeat you. In his panic, Tang Mo finally released his full strength. 7th level of the Divine Vein Realm. The terrifying power was completely released. He waved the long saber in his hand and slashed at Ling Xiao's attack. However, due to the lack of time, he was unable to use any powerful martial skills. Therefore, after this attack, he still suffered a hidden loss. His body was sent flying. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Puff! Tang Mo crawled up from the ground. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. Then he looked coldly at Ling Xiao, who was not far from him. Ling Xiao's attack came again. It was as if he wanted to take advantage of his injury to completely defeat him. But how could he fail so easily? The current him was at the 7th level of the Divine Vein Realm. Even if it was Ling Xiao, it was absolutely impossible for him to be his opponent. You're not Tang Bing. Ling Xiao did not attack rashly. Since the other party had already reorganized his attack, his next attack had to be cautious. What difference does it make whether I'm Tang Bing or not? Anyway, you're going to die today. Actually daring to injure me like this. I'll let you die without a burial ground. Tang Mo said coldly. You're Tang Mo, the son of Tang Chu Nunnery, the sergeant of the Z Mansion Army. Ling Xiao looked at this Tang Bing in front of him and said. Tang Mo frowned and said, What? You want to expose me? Of course I want to expose you, but now is not the time. Ling Xiao smiled and said, I really want to know how big the difference in strength is between me and a sergeant. Of course, this was not the truth. Most importantly, when facing Tang Mo, he could unleash Emperor-level martial skills without restraint. This way, the energy in his cultivation C could continue to increase. It should not be far from the next breakthrough. Why wouldn't he grasp such a good opportunity? In any case, he was confident that Tang Mo would not be able to kill him. What's going on? Tang Bing's strength suddenly increased to the 7th level of the Divine Vein Realm? Yeah, but that Ling Xiao is also quite powerful. Facing such a powerful Tang Bing, he still has some advantages. Yeah, I noticed that his attacks never have any superfluous movements. Every attack is very reasonable. He's even more outstanding than my master and many seniors I've seen. The only pity is that his cultivation is a little weak. I'm afraid that the next battle will be a tough one. Wait, don't you suspect that Tang Bing is a fake? No matter how much he hides, it's impossible for him to hide his cultivation from the 7th level of the Divine Vein Realm to the 4th level of the Divine Vein Realm. Besides, he wasn't this strong when he attacked the Scarecrow. So what if we suspect? He has a Centurion uncle. Haha, do you think the examiners can't see through this? Why didn't they stop him? Are they stupid? Previously, Ling Xiao made the Purple Mansion Army lose face. They should take this opportunity to teach Ling Xiao a lesson. But if this matter is exposed, the Purple Mansion Army will lose even more face. Besides, their loss of face has nothing to do with Ling Xiao. Isn't it because of the dirty things they did? Who knows what these people are thinking? They probably want to save Ling Xiao when he's severely injured. This way, Ling Xiao won't say anything out of gratitude. There were still some people in the crowd who understood what the Purple Mansion Army was planning. But would things really develop as they expected? Tang Chuyuan sat in the crowd and felt uncomfortable. If Tang Mo couldn't kill Ling Xiao before he was exposed, it would be troublesome. But from the looks of it, his son, Tang Mo, might be injured, but his injuries weren't as serious as he imagined. With Tang Mo's cultivation at the 7th level of the Divine Vein Realm, even if there was a gap in martial techniques, he should still be able to win against Ling Xiao. As long as Ling Xiao was dead, who would dare to speak of this matter? Others didn't have Ling Xiao's guts. Tang Mo naturally knew this as well. He looked coldly at Ling Xiao and said, "Brat, if you don't expose me now, you won't have the chance. Next, you will die in my hands. I know you have the strength of a 7th level Divine Vein Realm cultivator, but you want to kill me? Save it. If I just want to save my life, not to mention you, even your father, Tang Chuyuan, can't kill me." Ling Xiao looked calmly at Tang Mo. What shameless boasting. Tang Mo snorted and waved the saber in his hand again. It was still the 9-fold demonic slash, but its power was obviously more than 10 times stronger than before. Ling Xiao didn't dare to be careless. He circulated his true essence with all his might. Then he blasted out the descent of gods and demons. But this time he was defeated miserably. After all, his opponent was a 7th level Divine Vein Realm cultivator. Although his martial skills were slightly inferior to his strength was much stronger than his. Chapter 3603. Ling Xiao's body was sent flying. He rolled on the ground several times before he regained his balance. More blood flowed out of his mouth. However, the cultivation sea in his body had suffered a heavy blow because he had used an emperor-grade martial skill. His potential suddenly exploded. It had reached 50%. It's still worth it. Fortunately, I have the Black Tortoise Divine Body, which is at the peak of the king level, together with the armor formed by the shape-shifting divine weapon. My defense is enough to offset half of the damage from the emperor-level martial skill. Otherwise, I would be in big trouble. Ling Xiao wiped the blood off his face and stood up again. Still not dead. Tang Mo was obviously anxious. Ling Xiao was much more difficult to deal with than he had imagined. He still couldn't kill him. Tang Mo was a martial artist in the 7th level of the Divine Vein Realm. He could use the Emperor-level martial skill about 7 times. Any more, and he wouldn't have enough true essence. He had used it twice, but he still couldn't kill Ling Xiao. How could he not be anxious? However, being anxious was not a solution. The only thing he could do now was to kill Ling Xiao with the most terrifying attack. Another 9-fold demonic chop slashed down. This time, Ling Xiao changed his move. 7 swords surrounded his body. Then they burst out. The power of the 7 swords combined into one was even stronger than a transcendent stage fiend god. So this time, Ling Xiao was still at a disadvantage. But it was much better than before. He wasn't sent flying in a sorry state. He just took a few steps back and blood flowed out of the corner of his mouth. Damn it, go to hell! Tang Mo was about to go crazy. He waved his saber again and slashed at Ling Xiao crazily. This was the 4th time he used the Emperor-level martial skill. He wanted to kill Ling Xiao. The Purple Mansion Army didn't like a picky kid. The Zifu Army liked people who were obedient and followed their orders. So even if he killed Ling Xiao, the Purple Mansion Army wouldn't blame him. I want to see how many more times you can hold on. Tang Mo believed that Ling Xiao was definitely an arrow at the end of its flight and wouldn't be able to hold on much longer. As for his Emperor-class martial skill, including this one, he still had 4 chances to use it. Brother Qilong, there's something wrong with that person, right? Zilong said to Yu Qilong. He was really worried about Ling Xiao. There weren't many friends who could catch Zilong's attention, and Ling Xiao was one of them. With a cultivation base of the 3rd level of the Divine Vein Realm, Jiang Qin had the courage to save him from a second-level divine core warrior. He couldn't help but look at Ling Xiao in a new light. Even if Ling Xiao had other motives, it still required a great deal of courage. Zilong, you don't have to worry about this. Your big brother, Qilong, knows what he's doing. Perhaps Ziqinya felt that she had meddled too much today. Previously, he had forced Yu Qilong to make Tangchu Nunnery apologize. It was better for her not to talk too much, so that Yu Qilong wouldn't be unhappy. As the ruler of the Purple Spirit Kingdom, she still had to consider the safety of her kingdom. After all, Yu Qilong was in charge of 1 million Purple Mansion army, and this army was much stronger than the local army. If Yu Qilong was really pissed off, he would just label you as a rebel, then kill you without asking for permission. You wouldn't be able to reason with him. Don't worry, he won't be defeated so easily, Su Mingjin said with a smile. How do you know? Yu Qilong looked at Su Mingjin and said, I really don't think a 3rd-level Divine Vein Warrior can survive the attack of a 7th-level Divine Vein Warrior. Of course, Yu Qilong didn't know that Ling Xiao had the Fire Dragon mark given to him by Zilong. It was something that could severely injure any warrior below the 7th level of the Divine Vein Realm. In fact, Zilong was wondering why Ling Xiao hadn't used the Fire Dragon mark. Could it be that he didn't know how to use it? Or did he think it was unnecessary? Your attack seems to have become much weaker. Bloodthirsty plague. Ling Xiao sneered and finally used his trump card. The terrifying plague spread and entered Tang Mo's body through his wounds. It almost caused him to fail when he condensed the 9-layered demonic slash. What the hell is this? Tang Mo was shocked. He didn't expect Ling Xiao to have such an ability. It made his blood boil, and he couldn't control it. The terrifying plague was constantly infecting and devouring his blood and true yuan. He had no choice but to use 10% of his true yuan to suppress it. Only then did he obtain temporary relief. But just as he let out a sigh of relief, he discovered that Ling Xiao's aura had become stronger again. Boom! First, it was the Fiend God descent. The innate Fiend God sword soul behind Ling Xiao released a black and white radiance. A frenzied sword chi surged. It gave Tang Mo a fright. And this wasn't the end. Ling Xiao's surroundings were half filled with holy white light, and the other half with layers of demonic shadows. The combination of Fiend God and God, the contradictory power completely condensed on this youth. Ling Xiao finally used his most powerful attack at the moment. It was the second move of the 9 revolutions, Fiend God technique. First appearance of divine light, demonic shadow attack. A strange space, a strange power. The black and white swords in Ling Xiao's hands seemed to transform into Fiend God and God. Monarch's Descent Arena. 2 terrifying auras merged into one. Finally, it was released. The terrifying power caused the entire arena to shake. And this was in the 4 major regions. If it was in the western region, the entire sky would probably collapse. The spatial laws of the 4 major regions were really incomparably stable. Fiend God Descent was just the opening move. This move was the true first move. It fused the power of Fiend God Descent. It was terrifying to the extreme. How can this be? Everyone was shocked, including Yu Qilong in the stands, and Fang Ming in the examiner's seat. Who would have thought that Ling Xiao actually had such a terrifying martial technique? This power was probably comparable to a 2nd-level Emperor-class martial technique. It was really too terrifying. In an instant, 3 of the 9 revolutions' demonic slashes saber chi were shattered. Then it continued to shatter. So what if you know a 2nd-level Emperor-class martial technique? Not to mention that you don't. I'm a 7th-level Divine Vein Realm martial artist. You're not my match. Seeing that the saber chi of the 9 revolutions' demonic slash was about to be completely shattered, Tang Mo roared. He actually slashed out again. The 5th slash. It was still the 9 revolutions' demonic slash. The power actually overlapped with the previous 9 revolutions' demonic slash and collided with Ling Xiao's vast attack. Smoke and dust on the ground of the entire arena crazily swirled up. The stands began to shake. This terrifying scene lasted for a full few minutes. The two separated at the same time. They retreated more than 10 steps back. This exchange actually ended in a draw. For the first time, Ling Xiao was not injured when facing Tang Mo, who was at the 7th level of the Divine Vein Realm. He suddenly closed his eyes and felt the surging power in his body. The door of breakthrough began to open again. He's actually comprehending. When everyone saw Ling Xiao close his eyes, they all had the same thought. Tang Bing, kill him, don't let him break through. In the stands, Tang Chuan suddenly shouted without caring about his image. Because he was very clear that once Ling Xiao broke through, even Tang Mo could not possibly be this brat's match. After all, Ling Xiao, who was at the 3rd level of the Divine Vein Realm cultivation, already made Tang Mo feel overwhelmed, let alone a 4th level of the Divine Vein Realm cultivation. Chapter 3604. Hearing Tang Chunwan shout, Tang Mo charged forward like a madman. He wanted to kill Ling Xiao before Ling Xiao broke through at all costs. But how could Ling Xiao let him interrupt his breakthrough? Seeing Tang Mo charging over, Ling Xiao sneered. The fire dragon insignia appeared in his hand. This item could only harm martial artists below the 7th level of the Divine Vein Realm. If he didn't use it now, it wouldn't be useful in the future. It was perfect to kill Tang Mo. Tang Mo was only 3 to 5 meters away from Ling Xiao, and Ling Xiao was still immersed in his breakthrough. Barbarian Bear, who was watching the show, was so nervous that he didn't dare to watch. Tang Chunwan was also so nervous that he didn't want to sit down. Whoosh! A fire dragon flashed in the air. Tang Mo didn't have any reaction and fell to the ground. Blood dyed his throat red, and flames began to burn his body. The substitute talisman lost its effect at this moment. Tang Mo revealed his true face. That's not Tang Bing. Tang Mo. That's squad leader Tang Mo. Damn, the Z Mansion army cheated again. How shameless. It's that Tang Chunwan again. So what if he cheated? A 7th level Divine Vein Realm martial artist couldn't defeat a 3rd level Divine Vein Realm martial artist. This is too embarrassing. Looking at the burning corpse, everyone was shocked. Tang Chunwan had already rushed to the arena and extinguished the flames on Tang Mo's body. But it was useless. Tang Mo's throat was pierced, and he was already dead. You actually killed my son, Tang Mo. Holding Tang Mo's corpse, Tang Chunwan's eyes were red, and he fell into extreme anger. Ling Xiao didn't say anything and was still in the midst of his breakthrough. Ling Xiao killed Tang Mo on purpose. Anyway, whether Tang Mo died or not, this old fart Tang Chunwan wouldn't let him go. Since that was the case, why didn't he kill him? He wasn't naive enough to think that if he didn't kill Tang Mo, Tang Chunwan would let him go. I'll kill you. Tang Chunwan roared and pounced at Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao held the fire dragon spear in his hand and released it for the 2nd time. He had already modified the fire dragon mark during the 1 hour of rest. Although its power did not increase, the number of times it could be used had increased from 1 to 3 times. Although he couldn't kill Tang Chunwan, he could obstruct her for a while. However, at this moment, Fong Ming finally made his move. He blocked Tang Chunwan's attack and said coldly, Tang Chunwan, what do you want to do? Captain, he killed my son, he killed my son. Tang Chuan roared. I really want to know how Tang Bing became Tang Mo. Shouldn't you give me an explanation? Fong Ming knew that Tang Chununnery was very sad, but the fact that Tang Mo had replaced Tang Bing was exposed. He let everyone see it. If he couldn't handle it well, it would definitely turn into a public opinion accident. When the time comes, The news will spread to the Purple Mansion Royal City. Not only would he be in trouble, but Yu Qilong would also be transferred away. This was a big deal. Even though he knew that Tangchu Nunnery was very sad, he still had to do what needed to be done. I'll explain. Tang Chunwan couldn't explain. He had only himself to blame for all this. Since you can't explain, I'll just pretend that you don't know. Tang Mo replaced Tang Bing without permission. Tang Bing will be blacklisted and will never be recruited by the Zifu army. Tang Mo deserved to die. He will be stripped of all the privileges of the Zifu army and expelled from the Zifu army, Fang Ming said loudly. His decision was also out of helplessness. Although he was really unwilling to do so, after all, he still had old feelings for Tangchu Nunnery. He had already given Tang Chu Wan a lot of face by not implicating him. Are you convinced? Fang Ming asked. I am convinced. Although Tang Chunwan was very angry, he knew that Fang Ming was helping him. As long as he was alive, he would still have the chance to kill Ling Xiao after Ling Xiao joined the Zifu army. Boom! At this moment, an explosive aura rushed out from Ling Xiao's body. Ling Xiao opened his eyes. He was very happy. He had broken through 4th level of the Divine Vein Realm. This was a huge improvement. Ling Xiao is really capable. He was only at the 3rd level of the Divine Vein Realm, but he was able to block so many attacks from Tang Mo, who was at the 7th level of the Divine Vein Realm. The most terrifying thing was that he actually broke through in the middle of the battle. Good heavens, this is too amazing. Yeah, I'm afraid that he is the only one who can do such a thing. Nonsense. It's already very rare to be able to challenge someone 1 level higher. To be able to challenge someone 2 levels higher is already a peerless genius. This Ling Xiao might have won with the Fire Dragon mark, but killing a 6th level Divine Vein Realm martial artist shouldn't be a problem for him. Tang Chunwan left with Tang Mo's corpse. Fang Ming looked at Ling Xiao. His expression was a little complicated. He wanted to wait for Ling Xiao to be in danger before suddenly saving Ling Xiao. This way, Ling Xiao would owe him a favor. He would owe the Zifu army a favor and not expose Tang Mo's identity. But he didn't expect that. In just an instant, the situation was reversed. Ling Xiao actually killed Tang Mo. This made him somewhat unprepared. You really know how to give us a difficult problem. Forget it. Tang Mo might have replaced Tang Bing, but you were able to defeat him. It is enough to prove that you are qualified to enter the Zifu army. From today onwards, you are a member of the Zifu army. Go over there and wait. Fang Ming's heart was in a mess. He didn't know how to face Ling Xiao and his old subordinate, Tang Chunwan, but the test was still going on. He could only put these matters aside. Many thanks, Senior. Ling Xiao cupped his hands and walked out of the arena. He could still see Tang Chunwan in the crowd, staring at him with vicious eyes. Ling Xiao sneered and raised his middle finger at Tang Chunwan. Old man, if you are capable, then come and kill me now. He hoped that Tang Chunwan would make a move now. This way, the Zifu army would have no choice but to deal with Tang Chunwan. They might even kill him on the spot. It was a pity that Tang Chunwan was rather cunning. He knew that it wouldn't be beneficial to make a move now. So even though his heart was filled with anger, he still endured it. Ling Xiao sneered. If Tang Chunwan dared to make trouble for him, he would dare to kill Tang Chunwan. He was this kind of person who would seek revenge for the smallest grievance. With his current cultivation, it would be a bit difficult to kill Tang Chunwan, but one more breakthrough and it would be enough. Anyway, now that he had joined the Zifu army, the speed of his improvement should be even faster. For Ling Xiao, many people despised and mocked him from the beginning. Now it turned into admiration and even reverence. This kid was too terrifying, not to mention that he killed the Blood Demon soldiers in one move. Even Tang Mo and the squad leader were killed, although he still used the Fire Dragon mark in the end. But one must know that after his breakthrough, Tang Mo was definitely not his opponent. Ling Xiao killing Tang Mo was only a small interlude. Although there were some problems, Fong Ming managed to save some face for the Z Mansion army after dealing with it in time. Chapter 36:05. The following battles still attracted a lot of people's attention. Finally, after all the battles were over, the 100 warriors who once stayed in the promotion area. As for the rest, although they were unwilling, they could only choose to leave. If they couldn't do it this year, they could only wait for the next year. Anyway, the lifespan of a warrior was quite long. It was only a year, so they naturally wanted to become stronger. More than 1 million people and hundreds of thousands of spectators left. This caused the originally crowded arena to become much more deserted in an instant. Now, only the Purple Mansion army and the 100 people who passed the assessment were left here. No, it should be 101 people, because there was still Zilong, who was specially recruited. The recruits stood below. They were surrounded by the Purple Mansion army in purple spirit armor. Their whole body emitted a bloody, murderous aura. At first glance, it was obvious that each of them was an executioner who had killed many people. But soldiers were like this. Their responsibility was to fight, feeling the murderous aura released by these people. Some of the recruits were trembling. However, there were even more people who remained calm. Although their expressions had changed slightly, many of them had killed many people before. For example, Lu Xiong and Ling Xiao. Rookies, don't you feel happy? Fong Ming looked at the 100 people in front of him and asked with a smile. But don't be happy too early. In the following days, you will receive the cruelest test. You may die. You may leave. In the end, less than half of you may stay. Now, I'll give you a chance. You can leave now. Otherwise, if you stay, you can't be a deserter. There is only one way for deserters, and that is to die. No one wanted to leave. It wasn't easy to stay. Who would leave so easily? Well, since you all want to stay, then I won't talk nonsense. The recruit period is 1 month. You will be assigned to 5 Kiliarchs and belong to 5 battalions. These 5 Kiliarchs are all my subordinates. Next, I will distribute the 100 of you into 5 groups according to your results. Each group has 20 people. You will belong to whichever Chiliarch you are assigned to. For the following training, I won't ask about it. Everything will be handled by the Kiliarchs. Of course, because the recruit period was a little special, there would be a special recruit captain who would be responsible for supervising the training and life of these 100 recruits. This mission was given to Captain Yanbing. Yanbing, is it all right to leave the allocation to you? No problem. Yanbing nodded. All right then. Zilong, come with me. It's not suitable for you to waste time here. Fong Ming glanced at Zilong and said, Yes, Zilong had joined the Purple Mansion army to train himself, but his goal was only the bloody battlefield. He was not interested in military life. After the two left, Yanbing began to distribute the items. The 100 new recruits were divided into 5 groups and added to the 5 Kiliarchs. These 5 Kiliarchs were not new faces, because they had all appeared in the arena. A few of them were even invigilators. Ling Xiao and 20 of them were assigned to a Chiliarch called Chengqian. This Chiliarch called Chengqian had a warm smile on his face, which made the 20 people heave a sigh of relief. It was very important to have a good boss when one had just joined the Purple Mansion army. There were all kinds of people in the Purple Mansion army. Those who liked to beat and scold the new recruits. Those who liked to order the new recruits around. Those who liked to humiliate the new recruits. All sorts of people. In this place, no one would be able to help you even if you called for help. Unless you became stronger, no one could help you. Chengqian seemed to be a good person. Among you who is called Ling Xiao? Chengqian suddenly asked. Me. Ling Xiao did not know why he asked this, but he still had to answer. Oh, I see. Return to the group. Chang Qian glanced at Ling Xiao indifferently with a smile on his face. But in his mind he recalled the scene when Tangchu Nunnery complained to him. Tangchu Nunnery and he were in the same batch of comrades who joined the Purple Mansion army. The two of them had formed a deep friendship on the bloody battlefield. And this time, Tangchu Nunnery gave him an excellent treasure. She only asked him to teach this guy, called Ling Xiao, a lesson. With Ling Xiao as his subordinate, it was actually very easy for him to deal with them. Without batting an eyelid, he could make this brat beg for death. Chang Qian, let me warn you. You and Tangchu Nunnery are good friends, but you can't take revenge on him. Ling Xiao is a rare genius. He is a good addition to the Purple Mansion army. If I find out that you are against him, don't blame me. Yan Bing was appointed as the inspector of recruits by Fong Ming. She was in charge of the training and daily life of these 100 recruits. This was her responsibility, so she had to remind Chang Qian. Otherwise, if something happened, she would be responsible. Haha, don't worry, Inspector Yanbing. I know how to distinguish between public and private affairs. Chang Qian smiled. I hope so. Let's go. Yanbing waved her hand. Chang Qian led Ling Xiao and the other 20 people to the inner city. The inner city was where the Purple Mansion army was stationed. It was also where they trained. There were no separate barracks for new recruits. The new recruits and the veterans all lived together. It was said that this made it easier for the recruits to integrate into the Purple Mansion army. The moment he walked into the inner city, Ling Xiao immediately felt a powerful aura coming towards him. There were 1 million Purple Mansion army here. There were a lot of them. After the reorganization, the weakest Purple Mansion army was at the 5th level of the Divine Vein Realm. Ling Xiao and the other 100 people couldn't be seen at all. Other than the new barracks, there were also many veteran barracks. The division was very clear. Every barracks was led by a chiliarch. There were about 1,000 people in total. Basically, there would be 10 centurions and 100 decarches under them. Some might have a few more, while some might have 1 or 2 fewer. That was a special case. From today onwards, Ling Xiao and the other 19 people would become Chang Qian's battling dragon barracks. Every barracks was separated from each other and wouldn't interfere with each other. There were tall walls blocking the way. It was said that this was to prevent conflicts between barracks. It was also to prevent people from secretly learning martial arts between barracks. Anyway, no one knew why it was done in the first place. Anyway, all the barracks were separated. The Battling Dragon Barracks was one of the barracks closest to the inner city. It was one of the weaker barracks. However, it wasn't surprising. The Battling Dragon Barracks was responsible for nurturing new recruits. Therefore, it was natural that they were weaker. Moreover, Chang Qian's strength wasn't considered top-notch among the Kiliarchs. Even so, the Battling Dragon Barracks was already beyond the imagination of a rookie like Ling Xiao. There were over 1,000 5th-level Divine Vein Realm martial artists, 100 decarches at the 7th-level Divine Vein Realm, and 10 centurions at the 8th-level Divine Vein Realm. There was also a chiliarch at the 9th-level Divine Vein Realm. Such strength was still very powerful. Chapter 3606. The other battalions are in the same situation as the Battling Dragon Camp in terms of leadership. Therefore, the difference lies in the ordinary soldiers. At this moment, in the plaza of the Battling Dragon Camp, all 1,000 veterans had already gathered there. They are waiting for Chang Qian's lecture. Because these 20 people would be assigned to each team, it would still be a bit troublesome. Decarches will lead 10 people. Centurions will lead 100 people and have 10 decarches under them. Kiliarchs will lead 1,000 people and have 10 centurions under them. Basically, all battalions are structured like this. Now, let's assign the 20 new recruits. Decarches with less than 10 people in your team, step forward. Chang Qian is very satisfied with the veteran's reaction. He likes the feeling of being respected and revered. Yes, Dozens of Dakarchas walk out from the battle formation. In the Purple Mansion Army, it is very normal to have a shortage of people, because in the bloody battlefield, people will die every time. In addition, some soldiers will be promoted to Dakarchas, Centurions, or even Kiliarchs because of their outstanding performance. This will cause a shortage of people in the team. Therefore, the rule of only recruiting 100 people every year has already been condemned by many people. They feel that this rule is unable to fill the gap in the Purple Mansion Army. The higher-ups of the Purple Mansion Army have already accepted this criticism and are preparing to recruit 10,000 new recruits for every 100,000 soldiers, starting from next year. Of course, this is under the condition that their strength reaches the standard. If their strength doesn't reach the standard, it is better to go without than to have something substandard. However, this kind of thing doesn't have much to do with Ling Xiao anymore. He is already a member of the Purple Mansion Army. He only needs to think about how to increase his strength. Chiliarch, I heard that a rookie actually killed Dakarch Tang Mo. Why don't you let this guy join my team? It just so happens that I am lacking people here. Without waiting for Cheng Qian to assign people, someone suddenly stands up and says loudly. Cheng Qian glanced at the man, and a hint of a smile flashed across his eyes. Lei Bao is the fiercest Dakarch in the battling dragon camp. He is also the most strict Dakarch when it comes to new recruits. Moreover, it is said that Lei Bao is very good at exploiting his subordinates. He promised to help Tangchu Nunnery teach Ling Xiao a lesson. However, if it is too obvious, it will be disadvantageous for him. Yan Bing would definitely complain to Fang Ming. Hence, it would be better to place Ling Xiao under Lei Bao. Once he was there, Ling Xiao could forget about developing. In fact, all he had to do was secretly send a message to Ling Xiao, and Lei Bao would think of a way to kill him. Thinking up to this point, he nodded and said, "In that case, Ling Xiao, you can join Lei Bao's team." Yes, Ling Xiao didn't know what Qing Qian was thinking, but now that he knew, there was nothing he could do. He could only take it one step at a time. In any case, with his vengeful character, if Lei Bao dared to mess with him, he would definitely kill Lei Bao. He wasn't the kind of person who would let himself be taken advantage of. The thunder leopard looked extremely ferocious, like a wild beast. There were many scars on his body. At a glance, one could tell that he was a very valiant martial artist. He had probably fought many times in the bloody battlefield. No one felt that there was anything wrong with such a distribution. After all, Lei Bao was the one who had requested it. Qing Qian was just going with the flow. The others didn't want a thorn like Ling Xiao, so everything was reasonable. After that, Cheng Qian finished distributing the remaining 19 people. Then he waved his hand and said, "All right, you can all disperse. Do what you need to do. But there's one thing, it's best to take it easy on the new recruits. Don't go overboard. It's not good to kill them. After all, our battling dragon camp is very short of people. Also, new members will receive a set of peak general level martial arts and a set of purple spirit armor. Sergeants come and collect them." Yes. After all, the army was the army. No matter how fierce they were, discipline was the most important thing. It was very important to follow orders and prohibitions. Lei Bao and the others went to collect the equipment. Ling Xiao, on the other hand, left with the veterans. The people under Lei Bao looked a little submissive, but they were still relatively friendly to the newcomer. "Lei Bao, that Ling Xiao killed Tang Mo. How do you want to deal with him?" After everyone left, Qing Qian deliberately asked Lei Bao to stay behind. "What do you want me to do, Chiliarch?" Lei Bao asked. "You can't even do such a small thing. Do you still need me to teach you?" Chang Qian said coldly, "Tang Chu Nunnery is my old comrade and your old superior. Tang Mo is your colleague. He used to be a sergeant in our battling dragon camp. I don't think I need to say anything more. You won't let that kid have an easy time, right?" Hee, don't worry, Chiliarch. I promise to take care of him quietly. It definitely won't affect you, Chiliarch, or Centurion Tang Chu Nunnery. Lei Bao laughed. That's good. Go, give the things to Ling Xiao. We still have to do some superficial things. We can't let others think that we're deliberately targeting him. Yes. You're the hero who killed that bastard Tang Mo? At Lei Bao's team's residence. At this time, Lei Bao was not there. The other 8 people were surrounding Ling Xiao, looking very excited. That's right. I killed Tang Mo, but how is he a bastard? Ling Xiao asked curiously. Tang Mo, that dog, is close friends with our sergeant Lei Bao. That kid has a fetish for men. Not only does he insult the people in his team, he also insults us. Lei Bao doesn't care about this kind of thing at all. He's happy to see it happen. You killed Tang Mo. It can be considered as revenge for our brothers. One of them said, I really didn't expect Tang Mo to have such a fetish. Ling Xiao was a little surprised. It's a pity that Tang Mo is dead, but Lei Bao is still alive. This guy is even more ferocious and terrifying than Tang Mo. All the military merits we earned will be exploited by him. All the things we got from the bloody battlefield will be snatched away by him. If we don't give it to him, we'll beat him to death. As a sergeant, he has this privilege. As long as we don't beat him to death, he'll be fine. Another person said angrily, Does the Centurion or Chiliarch not care? Ling Xiao asked. The Centurion is Tang Chu Nunnery. Do you think he will care? As for the Chiliarch, Tang Chu Nunnery is his old comrade. The two of them have an extremely good relationship. How do you think he will deal with these things? Another person said disdainfully, F***CK, if it were me, I would work together to kill these two, even if I have to give up my Purple Mansion army. Ling Xiao said coldly, I'm afraid that you won't be able to kill him, but you will be punished by the military. In the Purple Mansion army, ordinary soldiers are not allowed to beat up officers. They can only challenge or kill them on the bloody battlefield. Challenge? Ling Xiao asked curiously. Yes, challenge. Only one-on-one. As long as you win, you can become a sergeant. Unfortunately, the 8 of us can't. If you can kill Tang Mo, you should be able to defeat Lei Bao, right? I used the fire dragon mark to kill Tang Mo. From what you said, I can't use the fire dragon mark in a challenge. Ling Xiao shook his head and said, Then there's no other way. Unless we meet on the bloody battlefield, who can be his opponent? The hope that had just been ignited was extinguished again. Chapter 36:07. Ling Xiao's sympathy for these 8 people had already turned into indifference. These 8 people only hoped that someone would come and save them. They didn't dare to resist. If it were him, even if he had to risk his life, he would go to hell with Tang Mo and Lei Bao. One's character determined one's achievements in the martial Tao. This saying was absolutely true. When some people encountered difficulties, they would still press forward. But when some people encountered difficulties, they would stop. This was the difference. I see that you don't seem to care. You probably don't know how scary Lei Bao is. One of them shook his head and said, The fire dragon mark can only be used once. You used it on Tang Mo. You can't use it on Lei Bao anymore. So, you can only accept the same fate as us and be bullied. You are tortured every day, but you don't dare to leave the Zifu army. You are better off dead. I don't think so. Ling Xiao smiled and shook his head. Only by resigning yourself to adversity will you be met with contempt and disdain from others, or even tortured and humiliated. I will say the same thing again. If he doesn't follow the rules, he will put pressure on me. I won't tolerate it. At most, we will all die together. You can only say that. When Lei Bao comes back, you won't dare to be so arrogant. One of them sighed and said, Forget it. Let's not talk about this. I thought there was hope. Who knew it would be another despair? Your room is over there. Go tidy it up and move in. That person was whipped to death by Lei Bao. No, he accidentally fell to death. Don't talk nonsense when you go out. Ling Xiao sighed secretly. Lei Bao was a corporal, but he dared to kill. After killing someone even even him cover up his lie. He said he fell to death. No wonder these 8 people could only be bullied. Actually, the 8 of them were all at the 6th level of the divine vein realm. They were very powerful. If they worked together, it would be easy to kill Lei Bao. But they didn't. They probably didn't even think about it. They really deserved to be bullied. Ling Xiao walked into his room. The room was very dirty. Things were scattered all over the floor. The previous owner had died a long time ago. No one cleaned up this place. On the wall, there were even words written with blood. Those words were filled with grief and indignation. Ling Xiao frowned. He opened the door and went out. "Where is Lei Bao's room?" he asked loudly. "It's the best room." The 8 of them pointed at the same time, but none of them realized what Ling Xiao was going to do. Ling Xiao's lips curled into a cold smile. Then he walked straight over. He broke the lock on the door and walked in. The corporal's room was indeed different. Not only was it spacious, it even had a secret room specially used for cultivation. He walked over and opened the secret room, but he was surprised to find that there were more than 10 young girls in the secret room. "I beg of Lord Lei Bao, please let us go, I beg of you." Perhaps he mistook Ling Xiao for Lei Bao. The girls hurriedly knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. Ling Xiao could roughly guess what was going on, but he still asked. The girls looked at each other. Finally, one of them walked out. "We are all children from good families near Purple Spirit Capital. We were kidnapped and sent here. I was at my wedding ceremony last month. I was kidnapped and sent here. I still have a younger brother and sister to take care of. Without me, they will starve to death. I am already married. That hateful Lei Bao. How can he disregard the law?" After someone took the lead, the others followed. Although Ling Xiao was not a great immortal who saved people from suffering, he was still filled with disgust towards Lei Bao when he heard what these women said. This guy is really a jerk. He sighed softly and said to everyone, "Come out, everyone. Pack up first. I will report to the Chiliarch later and send you all away." Since he could save people and it was just a matter of convenience, why not do it? Lei Bao chose him to teach him a lesson. The more enraged Lei Bao, the more he should do it. The girls were stunned. Then they ran out of the secret room and knelt in front of Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao sighed and let them pack up. He picked up a book from Lei Bao's table and walked out. The book talked about the organization, discipline, and facilities of the Purple Mansion Army in Chaoyang City. He should take a look. He didn't want to miss anything. When he was almost done, he felt a little regretful. He joined the Purple Mansion Army to enter the Blood Battlefield. But the book didn't mention anything about the Blood Battlefield. It seemed that it was still too early for new recruits to enter the Blood Battlefield. He decided to ask Lei Bao about it later. He should enter the Blood Battlefield as soon as possible and improve his cultivation. When it was about time, he could go to the Purple Mansion Imperial City. To him, the Purple Spirit Capital City was just a stepping stone. "What are you doing here?" All of a sudden, a thunderous voice rang out. Lei Bao looked at Ling Xiao with an ugly expression. The other 8 people followed behind Lei Bao with trepidation. They looked at Ling Xiao with sympathy, waiting for the corporal to come back. Ling Xiao put the book in his hand aside and smiled. "Hey, kid, you know what's good for you. Here you go." Lei Bao sneered. As long as Ling Xiao was obedient, he could get a tool to earn military merits for him. It was a pity to kill him so early. So he gave the purple spirit armor, the Purple Mansion Army token, and the king-level martial technique to Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao looked at the king-level martial technique indifferently. This thing was meaningless to him, but it would still be useful to the martial artists of the Heavenly Dynasty Empire in the future. So he kept it. As for the purple spirit armor, it was a good thing. The lowest grade purple spirit armor could increase a martial artist's combat power by 2 times. This combat power included attack power and defense power. It could be worn until the 6th level of the Divine Vein Realm. Once the cultivation reached the 7th level of the Divine Vein Realm, the low-grade purple spirit armor would be meaningless. To Ling Xiao, anything that could increase his combat power was good. His cultivation was only at the 4th level of the Divine Vein Realm, so the purple spirit armor could still help him. It was better than nothing. Also, twice the combat power was not a small amount. Apart from these two things, there was the Purple Mansion Army token. This was a symbol of identity. It was also the key to entering the blood battlefield. Without this thing, he couldn't enter the blood battlefield and couldn't record military merits. He put the Purple Mansion Soldier Waist Tag and the Peak King level martial skill into his storage ring. As for the purple spirit armor, he put it on. The purple spirit armor had an invisible function. If you don't like it, you can make it transparent. Chapter 3608. After the purple spirit armor became invisible, others would only see you as wearing ordinary clothes. But the actual effect was still there. It was also very convenient to operate. One only needed to think, and he could give an order. The purple spirit armor was a good thing. As Ling Xiao encountered stronger and stronger martial artists, his advantage in martial techniques would gradually disappear. The advantage in martial soul level would also become smaller and smaller. This purple spirit armor could make up for those. The lowest level was already so powerful. How powerful was the purple spirit armor worn by Yu Qilong? At this time, a voice suddenly came from the room. "Lord Ling, we are ready." Hearing this voice, Lei Bao's face suddenly changed. What did you do?" Lei Bao looked at Ling Xiao and suddenly realized that he had underestimated this guy. This guy would definitely not be obedient. "Ask me what I did." "I'd like to ask you, why are you hiding so many beautiful women in your cultivation room? And every one of them was abducted. What do you think will happen to you if this gets out?" Ling Xiao looked at Lei Bao and smiled faintly. "You, kid, dare to threaten me." Lei Bao looked at Ling Xiao gloomily and said, "Do you know what the consequences of threatening me and offending me are? Don't you just want to talk about death?" Ling Xiao said casually, "You have been a corporal for a long time. Why don't you give up your position? Looks like you are really courting death." Lei Bao's face was gloomy to the extreme. From the day he became a corporal here, no one dared to go against his orders. Even if this order was not in line with military discipline, no one dared to say a word. Unexpectedly, this guy called Ling Xiao actually dared to threaten him in front of so many people. "If I kill you, no one will know what I did." Boom! Terrifying vital essence was activated, and a terrifying aura bloomed from Lei Bao's body. He was like a fierce cheetah, turning into a whirlwind to kill Ling Xiao. Originally, he planned to slowly torture Ling Xiao. From the looks of it, he had to kill it as soon as possible. This was because he was well aware of the consequences of what he had done. "Ling Xiao, just admit defeat. There's no need to go against Corporal Lei Bao." One of the 8 men hurriedly shouted. Lei Bao's fury made them tremble in fear. It was as if they were reminded of the terror of their comrade who had committed suicide. "It's useless to admit defeat. Today I must kill him." The thunder leopard bellowed as it arrived 1 meter away from Ling Xiao. "Kill me? Can you kill him?" Ling Xiao suddenly took out the fire dragon mark. Lei Bao was startled. His body, which was originally charging out, quickly retreated. "What do you want? Do you want to murder Shangguan? This is a serious crime." He roared. "What a joke. You want to kill me, so why can't I kill you?" Ling Xiao mocked. Lei Bao frowned as he suddenly thought of something. "Don't use this used fire dragon mark to scare me. You used it to kill Tang Mo. You can't use it a second time. I was almost fooled by you." The thunder leopard suddenly laughed. "Is that so? Then you can try." Ling Xiao held the fire dragon mark in his hand and smiled faintly. As for the 8 men, they were already trembling in fear. This Ling Xiao is really crazy. He actually dares to go against Corporal Lei Bao? I think he's simply courting death. That fire dragon mark is clearly used. Corporal Lei Bao is not afraid at all. Next, he's going to be miserable. I think he really won't survive today. Sigh, it's better to be a coward. He can still live like us. As the saying goes, it's better to live a bad life than a good death. Listening to these people's discussion, Ling Xiao was really angry that they were not fighting for it. In his opinion, rather than living like a walking corpse, he might as well go all out and give it his all. Otherwise, living is no different from dying. And if he fought, he might not die. Kid, no matter what, don't think of leaving here alive today. Killing you is also a good way to explain to the higher-ups. Lei Bao sneered and charged at Ling Xiao again. He was sure that the fire dragon mark in Ling Xiao's hand could no longer be used, because in the purple spirit capital, in the entire 4 major regions, he had never heard of a fire dragon mark that could be used more than twice. Of course, his vision was limited to the Purple Kingdom, but he was still very sure. You're not afraid that I have 2 or 3 fire dragon marks? Ling Xiao looked at the thunder leopard, still smiling faintly. That's even more impossible. This kind of item made by a spirit augmentation master is incomparably precious. Each one is worth tens of thousands of high-grade spirit stones. I'm already surprised that you're lucky enough to have one of them. 2 or 3. Do you think I'm stupid? Using this kind of thing to threaten me. You've really misjudged me. I'm not afraid. The thunder leopard sneered, completely not stopping his charge. The corners of Ling Xiao's mouth also curled into a cruel sneer. Maybe the thunder leopard was right. But after his modification, the fire dragon mark could be used 3 times. Lei Bao was probably not the only one who didn't think of this. Even the other people in the Purple Mansion army didn't think of this. He waited for the thunder leopard to charge over. He wanted the thunder leopard to have no chance to dodge. Of course, he wouldn't kill the thunder leopard to avoid causing trouble for himself. But it was still possible to seriously injure the thunder leopard and control him with a soul-absorbing pill. As a sergeant, the thunder leopard should know a lot of things. It was a good opportunity for him to be more familiar with the Purple Mansion army, and maybe he could get information about the bloody battlefield. When the thunder leopard was about 2 meters away from Ling Xiao, suddenly a fire dragon flew out from Ling Xiao's hand. It was extremely fast. Everyone only saw a flash of red light. The thunder leopard's body was thrown out, and then he clutched his chest, rolling in pain. His body was already burning. How is this possible? Why can your fire dragon mark still be used? The thunder leopard didn't understand. It was really hard to understand. The fire dragon mark could only be used once. Could it be that this kid had more than 1 fire dragon mark? This thought gave him a fright. But before he could recover, Ling Xiao had already rushed up and stepped on his body. While stomping out the flames, he stuffed a soul-absorbing pill into the thunder leopard's mouth. He had been improving the formula of the soul-absorbing pill. After arriving at the 4 major regions, they used better materials, and the effects of the soul-absorbing pill became even better. Because he had to quickly unify the mystic world, he didn't have time to slowly tame the surrendered soldiers. This soul-absorbing pill naturally became a very important thing. You, what did you feed me? The thunder leopard looked at Ling Xiao in horror and said, although he didn't have to die, the pain in his body was still there. Coupled with the strange pill, his face didn't look good. As for the other 8 people in the team, they were completely stunned. Ling Xiao actually succeeded. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.